I have my 3, 2, 1 hand is broken. Just kidding. All right, I can see if I can do it. 3, 2,
2, and the big
1.
one.
I got this one too.
and
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 yeah,
how is
true.
everyone doing this fine Monday night? We can usually film this on a Sunday because yours truly has been feeling under the weather. We're all getting kind of beat up here, man. But yeah, we
It
are.
ain't the Rona though. You're
I know that's very true. We
you
are
can't get it twice.
coming. We are coming through on this very fine, very warm Monday night now. And
Yeah,
I'm one of your hosts of this amazing podcast here. P.S. Palmix, I love you. I am one of your hosts, J.R. Cabacungan, aka the Dark King. And above me, left me, right of me is the one, the only.
I am the voice of reason at voice of reason 23, Kevin
Sir.
Pillow, repping the asylum as always because I got viewer complaints that no one wanted to see my farmer tan again, and so I had to put my USC jersey on standby, despite
Well,
the fact that my boys last night coming through, going to the Elite Eight, beating
yeah.
Oregon after thumping Kansas on Friday night. So
You see that UCLA game? You see that UCLA game?
woo, UCLA.
Bruins? Oh my
Then
gosh.
and then of course my backup team, the Creighton Blue Jays. Wah, 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 wah. Sorry to my brother who is a Creighton alumni.
Mm,
We're all diehard Blue Jay fans, but man, they let things down. But I
mm,
digress. This is not a sports show, but you can check me
yeah.
out on Friday nights.
Yes, you can.
I'll be posting some videos on both my personal and my business site at Voice of Reason 23 on Facebook. I'm going to be doing some halftime reports for the local high school sports here in the Coachella Valley and other news to come in regards to high school sports and yours truly. So, but it's all good things. Not going to give up this bad boy. Matter of fact, I am trying desperately to chase a couple of really good interviews for us this spring as we inch ever so closer to our season finale, which will be
Mm,
later this spring. We will end season one, hopefully on a bang. But yeah, like I said, it's gonna be a good spring and
yeah, man.
so yep.
Yeah,
But without further ado, I do want to get into some things.
sure.
Um, the I, I s- I saw this right off the top of the bat.
Hmm.
Is we're gonna you want to get right into the
I
Snyderverse, don't you?
do. I do. But go
So
ahead, my friend.
no. I was gonna say get into the Snyderverse. I do have to just drop something off outside of our studio, but Jr. wants to get hot on this. Jr. Why don't you get us going on what you were hearing in our news and notes in the Snyderverse?
Oh, the Snyderverse is officially dead, my friend. As
No.
reports have been coming in through the CEO as well as Zack Snyder himself, saying that basically it's dead. It's gone. It is. They're ready to move on and move past it. The CEO actually confirmed herself and starting off saying that there is no upcoming sequels or plans for along any of the Justice League directors, Zack Snyder's work, because it's just not in the cards for them, man. She's quoted to say, she's quoted to say that we wanted to give Zach the opportunity to complete his vision in a 4-hour film, which is impossible to do in theaters. We're happy that HBO Max is letting go of the rope, so to speak, and allowing fans to see Zach's 4-hour vision. And Sarnoff, CEO of Warner Bros., told Variety, and later added on about the restore the Snyderverse. The hashtags restore the Snyderverse. I appreciate that they enjoy Zach's work and we are very grateful for his many contributions to DC. We are so happy that that he was able to bring his cup from the Just League back to life because it wasn't in the plan until a year ago. With this comes the completion of his trilogy. We are very happy to have done this, but we are very excited about the projects we have coming so far.
So it sounds like to me, and I'm hearing
Mhm.
this too, is they keep referring to this as the Snyder trilogy: Man of
Mhm.
Steel, Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, and then the theatrical Justice League. They are giving him credit for that as the Snyder trilogy.
Yep.
Um, since they're not going, see, and this is, I guess, this is their way of saying the best of both worlds
Yeah.
is they've allowed the Justice League movie
Mhm.
to be canon, sort of speak,
I
but
mean,
the Snyder cut bookends the Snyder trilogy.
yeah.
If that makes any sense. So the Snyder trilogy is now officially going to be Man of Steel, Dawn of Justice, and then the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
And then the jumping off point for the rest of the DCEU is going to be the theatrical version of
Mm-hmm.
the Justice League. But I think a lot of it has to do with JR
What's up?
is like she said, the wheels are in motion, and they know that they have a lot of catching up to do.
Yep.
I know that it's all pretty and it's all sunshine and roses. That is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I know that Infinity War was a bit dark, so was with the Winter Soldier.
Yep.
So was WandaVision
Yeah.
and a little bit of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a little darker tone than we're used
Thor
to, but it
2
is
as
still
well.
bright. It's still
Thor
bright
2.
and shiny. Yeah. Thor: The Dark World, yeah, or even Ragnarok too,
That's true.
and potentially Word Love and Thunder, despite what the name says.
Yeah.
But it's not DC dark, and DC has always been dark,
That's true.
and but they know that they have to play a little catch up, and that I have to assume that they have a gigantic plan, much like Kevin Feige just as recently as a few months ago said that he has the next 10 to 20 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe planned out,
Absolutely.
which and people were like, well, do you think there's going to be comic book fatigue? And he goes, comic books have been around since the 1930s, and no one's, I mean, yeah, it goes up and down in phases, but they're still constant. Some of the statistics that I'm hearing from Ann Sarnoff, the CEO of Warner Brothers, I don't doubt her saying this. I don't doubt the spin that they're putting on the Snyderverse. But from what I understand from other content, from other people who watched the Snyderverse, it trended heavily on both Twitter and I know even on in Reddit. There's a lot of subreddits talking about the Snyderverse to this day. They're still blowing up. Matter of fact, I posted the last few of our podcast on some subreddits for WandaVision, for Falcon and Winter Soldier, and for the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they're lighting up they're not, red hot or anything, but they're getting some traction. And there's a lot of traction in these rooms, in these threads. So there's a lot of people talking about it. So it's weird that she says that that she is so adamant that the Snyder Cut did better than Wonder Woman 84 when it has been said by multiple people since December that Wonder Woman 84 did not do well on Christmas Day. I enjoyed the movie, by the way. I thought it was a good flick. Which, by the way, did you ever get to watch it? Did you when you pirated my HBO Max account, did you watch Wonder Woman 84?
I did not. I
thought it had just come back.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not back on there yet. I don't know.
I mean, anyway. I intend to eventually, specifically when I get my whole HBO Max, because I have HBO, the channel, right, on regular TV, and so I have that coverage. So I'm just wanting to figure that point out. But
Wait, don't you have Spectrum?
I do. That's the thing.
I'm telling you, bro.
I can definitely get it. It's just more so just me putting the time in to do the thing, right? And like, I don't want to, but
someone sent a message at also not JR Comics 42 on Instagram and let him know, bro, this is how you do it, or give me your login, I'll do it for you.
It's definitely very much that whole thing of like once I get it right, there's a lot of DC material for me to consume. Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Justice League. Well, yeah, one Justice League, but all the movies, right? All the animated movies. That's for me. That's the biggest get for me. The animated movies. Teen Titans. Yes,
they're all on there. Teen Titans are on. Teen Titans Go.
Titans. What's it called? Harley Quinn. A bunch of other ones too, or a bunch of them too. But like just kind of going back on the on this contribution or the statement
controversy.
You're from Ann Sarnoff. It very much to me, yeah, she definitely wants to move forward. She, for those who don't know, Ann Sarnoff, she became CEO in 2019, the summer 2019, and so she kind of was given this quote unquote mess, right? Where it was the previous, I forgot the previous CEO head that okayed Zack Snyder's thing, and what I didn't include here, what I did include Zack Snyder's his response as well as That was basically it. But what I didn't include was that she was also making a possible statement on the quote unquote toxicity of the DC, specifically Snyder cut fans, where we have a lot of these fans that say, "Oh, Zack Snyder, greatest vision to ever happen. His films are on par, if not way better than all the Marvel films combined." I'm like, that's a big, like, we can definitely go toe to toe on every one of Zack Snyder's films and have them play out against each and every one of Marvel's, right? Granted, I'm pretty sure the ones that he'll probably beat, possibly Thor Dark World,
See, I
maybe
like that
Ant-Man,
movie.
maybe Ant-Man 1 and 2, maybe. Ant-Man 1 though is a really good
It's
freaking
so
movie, in my
good. I mean,
opinion. Still
both
good.
of them are game changers, but
Yeah,
Ant-Man #1 was a
yeah.
huge,
Yeah,
surprise.
absolutely. And let me see. Maybe if you put Justice League, his cut against Avengers 1, maybe he might take it. Considering the fact it took him 4 freaking
Maybe
hours
Age
to
of
find.
Ultron.
Yeah, definitely Age of Ultron. But like, it took him definitely freaking 4 hours to get to a point, right? To get to the point,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of her comments, right, towards the Snyderverse, towards like the reason why this should end is mainly because we have a lot of the Snyder fans becoming incredibly toxic. These are the same people that, like, when Ray Fisher came out and said, "Hey man, this is what happened to me inside the thing and the Joss Whedon, all this stuff." So you had some fans attack him for this stuff. When 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 BVA first no when BVS first started happening, right? And they got that it was critically panned all throughout. These were the fans saying, "Well, no, you're not really a fan of DC, homie. I've been a fan of DC. I've had many fans. I know many people have been fans of
Yeah.
DC. BVS was trash.
It was not great.
2 hours and
Um
40 minutes of like a lot of drivel that had to coincide with the worst part of DC in my point of view, where Zack Snyder has constantly been using the not the reborn or not the rebirth iterations, but the new 52 iterations of Justice League, right?
yeah.
Everything from Flashpoint, the Superman that became more emo, more to himself, more definitely not the Superman that I grew up with type of Superman.
No.
The, the Batman he even used, even though it's supposed to be the iteration of New 52, was actually the Dark Knight. Dark Knight
And see,
Returns.
and I think that was the problem with the BBS was it was
Mm.
set up to
Yeah,
fail
yeah,
because you had Christopher Nolan, which heavily pulled from the Dark Knight series. The
yeah.
what's his name? Oh my gosh, why am I completely drawing a
Frank
blank
Miller.
on the right?
Frank Miller.
Frank Miller's The Dark Knight, which could be considered by most to be some of the greatest writing in comic book history
It is
and
the
artwork.
epitomal. It is the epitomal Batman series.
Who did the artwork? Did Frank Miller do the artwork as
Frank Miller.
well?
Yeah, Frank did,
So
of
he did
course.
both.
Big, brooding, freaking old dude. Yeah, that's Frank Miller.
And so when they announced Batman versus Superman at Comic Con, they had one of the actors who inevitably became Martian Manhunter.
Yep. Yep.
He read a passage from Frank Miller's The Dark Knight, and people were led to believe that the direction that this movie was going was that direction, or at least loosely, or maybe some adaptation from it. And we didn't get it.
Yeah.
And it's so funny was that a lot of the hardcore fans that ripped that movie to shreds also were like, well, wait a minute, we don't want to see Batman fight Superman. Like, why we want to see that? Because we saw it in the comic books.
Yeah.
People, and that's the thing is,
Yeah.
you have these fans that grew up, and that's okay.
Mm.
Grew up on Christopher Nolan and those films, and that's their Batman.
Yeah.
And then they see this, and they're like, well, we don't want to see Batman. We don't want to see this versus this. I'm like, well, I did. I was super excited, but I was
I also think the biggest problem too is that we need to establish, like, the reason why people were love that version, Dark Knight Returns, right, was because of that version of Superman was very American U.S. government, was very much in the lines of, like, he stopped being about being the red, white, and blue, And for the people and for the small guy, it became more about the government. We see that people tend to forget that in his book, in his writing. This is a very different Superman. And when you then try to clasp that or try to get that and make that into your own iteration, where the Superman you're using is actually from New 52, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make a good foil to the Batman you want to put on screen.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest problem. Like, we knew the errors of quote unquote our Henry Cavill Superman's ways, right? One, just for the simple fact that, one, if you got our freaking superheroes killing people, right, they lose their actual, for me, they lose their value as, like, why the hell does anyone want to replicate that? In that opinion, my small rant is that when you have in your movie, your 4-hour long movie, Wonder Woman, very strong, very agile, very empowering woman, clasp her hands together to destroy one freaking dude, and then you got a girl in the back saying, I want to be just like you. You just kill like 14 dudes in front of them. Granted, yes, they were probably gonna kill them too.
They deserved it.
They're like, this whole aspect of like who do we then praise as heroes?
Yeah.
So that's a whole different thing. But yeah, also going to the fact too, when Zack Snyder himself responding about a possible sequel, saying, well, he responded that it might be very hypothetical and something you will never see. That's a very very disturbing words from a man who headed this whole Snyderverse.
And I think a lot of that has to do with what he went through personally to make the movie and what it took out of him. So who knows? He will have this. And there's a couple of videos too on social media from Looper that ranks his movies from worst to best, and most of these lists have the Snyder cut as its number one on this. And you have to understand too, is Zack Snyder is a visionary. He did change the game artistically and visually on as a director, but some of his pictures don't have a lot of substance to them. Now I will say 300,
great movie.
I'll be honest, I'm not a fan.
Really?
But amazing.
Yeah.
It changed the game. It was visually stunning.
Yeah.
Sucker Punch.
Yep.
A terrible movie.
Yep.
But visually, and I get it's girls in short skirts and stuff like that, but other than that, the way he shoots things and the way he lights things, and I know a lot of that is his staff, his production team. But
it's a lot of his films are very wallpaper-esque.
Yeah,
they look great in your wallpaper.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. And but it does look good. I mean, some of my favorite shots were, I love the opening montage of Batman versus Superman. When young Bruce Wayne is at the funeral for his father, and they're walking through the graveyard and the leaves and stuff like that, and then he falls into the pit and stuff like that. It was a different way of showing that scene again, how he falls into the well and finds the bats. The scene with when Martha and what's Bruce Wayne's is it Tom Wayne? No, what's Bruce
Thomas
Wayne's
Wayne?
Dad's name? Thomas Wayne. So when Thomas and Martha Wayne are executed, that scene, it was a great shot. He is a great. I don't know if he does his own cinematography. I'm assuming he does frame his own shots like that. But how he does those shots. So visually, he's an amazing director.
Yeah.
And actually, one of my favorite shots of how he framed it, and it was actually a shot that he put himself in the Justice League Snyder cut, was he was a barista inside of a coffee shop in New York that he wanted to give love to, because it was a coffee shop in New York that he sat out in front of and storyboarded both the theatrical version and the Snyder cut. And he wanted to give love to that. And so there's a shot of Amy Adams as Lois Lane walking into the coffee shop, and she turns around, and you see Zach in his in his suit that he likes to wear, serving coffee. And it was, I don't know, it was just just a simple, great shot. There was a lot of great shots, but then for every great shot he has a lot of bad CGI shots. So one of my least favorite parts of that movie was the Heroes Park scene. It's awful. God. There was no fixing it. They did do a better job of the final fight scene. I was still bad. It was not great CGI, but it was better than the theatrical version, which was awful. But the scene where they resurrect Superman, or when Superman fights them in the
Yeah.
Heroes Park, it's not a good scene. It's
Yeah.
and I don't
Yeah.
know. I just but
Yeah, man. Like I said before, like a lot of his, if he was willing to have a second director there, maybe even a third director there, to kind of like tether him back with some of these things, like because like I said before, I don't know if I said this in this podcast or a recent podcast where I know what kind of like where his head goes to, right? As for me as an artist or as for like a writer, you have these great shots in your head,
yeah,
right? Of where you want to go, right? And then from that point, you're trying to make everything else get to every scene, get to that shot, get to that
yeah,
point. Because you have this amazing visual of like what this character's gonna look like, what he's going through, what she's going through, what's gonna happen. And I feel that's Zack Snyder's thing, where like he makes some of the most brilliant cinematography shots I've ever seen on camera,
yeah,
but his build to get to there is very lackluster. I feel like if Warner Bros had the attempt to bring in another director or another person on hand. I know they've been saying that they had Christopher Nolan, but I'm pretty sure Christopher Nolan was very hands off with a lot of with a lot of directing and all that. But the one thing I always go to now is that what happens if people can take the Mandalorian approach, where they have 5 directors on hand, no ego, come out and say, okay, is this a good shot? Well, you're doing too much here. How about this part? Well, you're doing too much there. How about this part? And just somebody to run ideas off of. I feel like Zack Snyder is a definite top tier cinematographer.
yeah,
Visionary, great. But how to get to those scenes, and not only that, but then kind of waste budget on some of these scenes. Like I said, my biggest complaint was that Aquaman scene, or like my biggest example of him is that Aquaman scene where one time you see him on top of that boat rescuing that guy. Great visual shot, amazing visual shot. Puts him down the bar and goes back to walk out to the pier, and that's another slow-mo shot. I'm like, okay, that was kind of redundant now because you show his powerful moment. You give him another powerful moment by just jumping into the sea. Like it's just too much fluff. That was it.
yeah,
It's just too much fluff. And so I see now that that's the reason why they're trying to go away from the Snyderverse, because like what you're getting before with the DC universe. And that's not necessarily it wasn't necessarily a good thing. And people have said before that, all DCU is Snyder. Like, no, homie. Do y'all forget that the Joker won
yeah,
2 years ago? That we had Wonder Woman, that we have all these things that have had success. Shazam, Aquaman, all these other movies now that have established themselves that are not criminally dark. Granted, probably the most dark one out of there, well, semi-dark one is of course Joker, but then that's one you have a villain slash anti-villain at that point going crazy. And then now we have newer and broader things. One of the possible newer iterations of that is Black Adam, my friend. Do you know that
yeah.
they released the go ahead.
I would say, yeah, the Black Adam was part of the one. I think it was WonderCon at home
Yeah.
weekend. Kind of got some pub via some panels and stuff like that, which we'll get into the convention schedule. Sorry, I'm still trying to figure out my damn microphone. But yeah, The Rock released on his Instagram a clip of himself in Times Square as all the jumbo monitors previewed his movie. The movie has been moved to a new release date of July 29th, 2022.
Yep.
So we're about a year and a half away from this movie, which, by the way,
So
I don't know if you have it in your notes.
yeah.
Let's talk about movie release dates.
Okay.
Okay. We got a big one.
Talk about
Feige caved.
what?
Feige caved.
Yeah.
We're gonna get Black Widow in
That's
July
right.
of this year, so it's been
Forgot
moved,
about it.
and it's all good. It's all good.
Forgot about
It got moved. It was scheduled for May. It has now been moved to July 9th, I believe
Mm.
it is.
Mm.
Not only in theaters, but it will come to Disney Plus to Premier
Mhm.
Access, which will be a $29.99 additional surcharge on top of your monthly services. By the way, Disney Plus has gone up in price by $1 per month from $6.99 to $7.99. So still, I think one of the better values in
Oh
the
yeah.
streaming wars,
Yep.
outside of probably making kind of a little noise, quietly making some noise. bro, check out Paramount Plus. This is not
Oh
a
yeah.
shill for any of these streaming services. Just kind of like we're in the middle of some of the greatest content in 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 probably motion picture history. And
Yeah.
when I say
Apple's been
motion
killing it.
picture, I'm talking about movies and TV.
Yeah.
So
Apple's been killing
uh,
it too, actually, as of late too.
Apple,
They're killing it too. I was hoping the big probability that we had before about Paramount was that I was thinking that maybe Apple would buy them, possibly.
there was talk about that, but actually, the company that Apple desperately wants is not Paramount. They want MGM.
That's right.
And the
MGM.
reason they want MGM is
Double
because
O's.
MGM brings you Bond, James Bond.
Yep.
And it's said that Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, is a gigantic James Bond fan and desperately wants that as kind of a footnote or like a footprint in his streaming service. But he's really quietly doing put together a great
Oh yeah.
because what Apple is doing, just a sidebar, what Apple is doing is exactly what Apple's been doing as a tech company for 40 years, and that is they're allowing artists to work on their craft. They allowed guys like people go
Mhm.
like people give Steve Jobs a lot of credit. Probably in some cases more credit than he deserves. We're gonna go on a sidebar here for a second. More maybe in some cases, and I'm a huge Steve Jobs fanboy. Um,
He is.
some
He
people
is.
will
Ladies and
say
gentlemen.
that they will give him more credit than he deserved as a technological wizard because he didn't have a single freaking technological bone in his body. That was all Steve Wozniak. But he gave artists a platform to practice their craft. A guy like Steve Wozniak, who was going nowhere at Atari, who just wanted, he had the wherewithal, he had the mindset to probably be the top engineer with IBM back in the 70s, but he didn't have the he did not have he wasn't it wasn't a corporate guy. Steve
Mm.
Wozniak was not a corporate guy, and neither was Steve Jobs. And so he was, like I said, he was a visionary. He was like Zack Snyder. He had an amazing view on things, and maybe like Zack Snyder, he doesn't play well in the corporate world. And Tim Cook is kind of kept that. I mean, yeah, he's been a little bit more corporate based, but he's allowing some of these artists. What they do is, if you every single day I read on these Apple fan sites,
Mhm.
Apple signed this director, Apple signed this writer, Apple signed this documentarian, Apple signed this guy, and they're like, well, it's kind of like how Netflix was a couple of years ago, except
Yeah.
Apple has more money.
Yeah.
It's like, what's your idea? Pitch me. Oh, you want to make a documentary about how wildlife changed during the pandemic when people weren't around? Sounds like a great idea. We're going to put it on the streaming service, have it done in 6 months. And that happened today. Matter of fact, there was a documentarian who was going to get a documentary on Apple TV Plus based on how the pandemic and the lack of human involvement in the world
Hmm.
12
Oh,
months ago,
absolutely.
how it affected wildlife. And if anybody needs a realization about what our impact had on everyday life, there was a photo that came up on my Facebook page a couple of days ago during because we're now about a year and a week into this
Yeah.
pandemic and the lockdown that faces. There was a famous picture that someone took of the road leading into Atlanta, Georgia, and it's the same shot that they used in the promotional photo for The Walking Dead. Now, the Walking Dead poster took months of digitally removing cars and vehicles on a busy freeway and then adding in a bunch of broken down ones and adding Rick Grimes walking down the road into downtown Atlanta. Well, the photo that they took in the middle of the day, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, had 0 cars. And so that's kind of the documentary that they're going after. It's like, wow, look at this. A major metropolitan city has no roads, no cars on the road. I mean, 0. And then we saw the pictures of the pollution over Los Angeles and the satellite images that they released about a year ago the first time you could see the entire Los Angeles basin from space
Yeah.
on a clear day. It was like,
Yeah.
that's the documentary that they're making. They're like, that's what kind of how that effect have on wildlife. And so I'm sure we'll talk about it as it come out. But yeah, Apple TV Plus is killing it.
Yeah.
But back to the main topic, Black Widow is going to come out in July, Disney Plus, premium access, as well as in theaters. I think if you buy it for $30, you get it. I want to say you get it for 90 days. I think you get it for 3 months, which, okay, I'm happy with that.
Absolutely.
It kind of sucks. I'm gonna spend $30 to go to see it and be able to watch it at home, and then 90 days later, I'm gonna buy it on iTunes.
Yeah.
But but going back, Black Adam, he's quietly putting together a pretty good little cast because they made a big announcement. During his panel.
Actually, what did it go? I forgot. I legit forgot his name.
They brought in Bond, James Bond,
That's
aka
right.
Pierce Brosnan, is coming to play.
I said it's.
It looks to me.
Is
this? Yeah, you sent me the link. Is that basically? Is it like it's not the Black Knight? It's
Doctor.
Is he a set? What is it? Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan is playing Dr. Fate.
Is this basically their answer to Doctor Strange?
Yeah, but I think Dr. Fate actually he what came first.
Of course it did, because Marvel only steals the good shit from DC.
But it's just that more I think Doctor Strange is kind of outpacing Dr. Fate because just amount of like versatility that he has, quote unquote, right? Because Silver Age Doctor Strange was a freaking beast of a man. Like he would be able to take on a lot of DC by himself.
But at the same time, as the book was written, wasn't the book being drawn by Kirby?
Yeah, I think so. Actually,
was it?
I think so. And like Kirby, you know, at that point, I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check.
Is that my book over your left shoulder?
Which one?
Or your right shoulder? I mean,
which one? This one?
That's my Punisher right there.
Oh, that
book
Punisher?
Coming. I got that book coming.
You finally get a word?
No, not yet,
dude.
But for those who are wondering, yes, when this photo behind me was taken last summer, that copy of the Punisher that's over of basically Spider-Man number 162 was not in one of these boxes. It was actually in a safer location, somewhere hidden inside my undisclosed shield location. But nonetheless, moving right along, what JR pulls that up about that. So yeah, Black Adam, July 29th, 2022. Pierce Brosnan being added as Dr. Fate. I think it's a great cast. Again, I think this is anything you can do, I can do better when it comes to casting with these guys, because they're just going after award-winning A-list celebrities. And people go like, Pierce Brosnan hasn't been an A-lister in 20 years. I'm like, you play James Bond, you're an A-lister for the rest of your life, in my opinion. Sorry. Speaking of A-listers, I think pretty much the word is out on Mr. James fucking Gunn. Coming from the monstrous, hideous mind of James Gunn, we got the red band trailer of the Suicide Squad. Now, I noticed how JR put it in the notes this way, and I've seen it referenced a lot online this way. Though officially, the name of the movie is called The Suicide Squad. Okay. However, it is kind of in published and reports and other stories about the trailer. It is being referred to as Suicide Squad 2, which leads us to believe that it is a quote soft reboot. Now, people are wondering what the French toast is different between a reboot and a soft reboot. Is a soft reboot, it's almost like a sequel, but it's not really a sequel. It's taking characters from an existing franchise, and putting them in a brand new movie to tell a completely different story. But without saying like, oh, that movie over there didn't exist. So from what I understand is that James Gunn tells a story that wink says that the first movie did exist, but I'm not going to acknowledge it.
It's basically saying that it's Steve Ditko, actually, not Kirby.
Oh, that's who I was thinking of. I
Ditko.
apologize. It was Ditko did a lot of now that for forget that Punisher, that Amazing Spider-Man, that's a John Romita Senior, or is that?
I think so. I think it's Romita Senior. I think I can see from the bottom right of his right now, but you check that. But yeah, I was gonna say, going back on to Suicide Squad, the big difference between a reboot and a soft reboot and a full reboot is that the reason why we still have Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is because of soft reboot. If it was a full reboot, everybody else is like, all right, cool, we're getting new actors, new story, new everything. The soft reboot is, no, we like Margot Robbie. We like Margot. We like some of these characters that are still there, and so we're gonna just basically progress throughout. We're gonna progress the franchise, but not really, go back onto the past iteration.
Yeah, that would be J.R. Senior. Was the cover inker. The penciler was Gil Kane. But it's pretty much a John.
Beautiful cover. And just going back onto Suicide Squad, man, like, this is the reason why they're moving away from Snyderverse, because it's much more it's much more approachable, and two, it's not stuck in this whole aspect of being just curtailed into being, oh, we have to be dark and emo, because that's the feel of a lot of Zack Snyder's works. Because of this, we got freaking my opinion, James Gunn, aka the better Joss Whedon, as I will always pen him now, to really show, okay, how can you showcase a movie with multiple characters, multiple actors, and just make it fun. Just make it fun. And just from the trailer alone, man, granted, yes, trailers aren't fully indicative of the final movie, a la Suicide Squad 1, Batman vs Superman, a number of other movies, right, in the DC lineup as is. But overall, just the feel of it already feels a lot more lighthearted, very much like the more recent Suicide Squad runs, as well as just, I gotta say, man, that's my Harley Quinn right there. It took him 3 movies, but that is definitely my Harley Quinn.
And I was thinking about this over the weekend. What you said, that they finally got Harley Quinn right. And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at some of the books, but I'm going back to the animated series. I'm going back to old Harley Quinn, because you have to assume that most of the last 5 years of Harley Quinn is coming from the Suicide Squad.
Amanda Conner. Yeah.
If it's not Amanda Conner, it's coming from the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad books, they very much drew her like the Margot Robbie, the daddy's little monster kind of version of. But yes, the Amanda Conner version of Harley Quinn, Harley Quinn's Black Book, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy Meet Betty and Veronica, those books and stuff like that. Like I said, the Amanda Conner version of Harley Quinn is very much reminiscent of the Harley Quinn from the animated series.
Yep.
So I went in that mindset, and I said, okay, can we go back to? Who can play? Let's just assume, much like Mary Jane Watson is done by J. Scott Campbell. That is Marvel's MJ, is J. Scott Campbell's MJ.
Yeah.
Who is DC's Harley Quinn? And I would say Amanda Conner. That is
easily.
Close my eyes and I picture who could play Amanda Conner's Harley Quinn. And really and truly, based on, it's got to be a blonde. I mean, she doesn't have to be.
Dye her hair at least. Yeah.
But it makes it easier.
Yeah.
Kind of a fair skinned.
Yeah.
And I think you need someone with I'm not body shaming anyone, but you don't need, Harley Quinn's not a big girl.
Yeah.
Kind of, but she's got some curves to her, but she's kind of, she is kind of a skinny girl.
Yeah. She's always been that type of skinny girl. Go Go ahead.
I close my eyes. Sorry, if I close my eyes and I go, who can play Harley Quinn? And the two people that popped in my head happen to be the two people that play her, Margot Robbie
Yeah.
and Kaylee Cuoco. Could you
Mm.
imagine Kaylee playing a live action version of Harley Quinn? That would be a lot of fun. Now, reason being is because I just saw it, by the way, highly recommend, it's on HBO Max. Highly recommend The Flight Attendant. A great show, so good, well written. Kaylee killed it. I love her from The Big Bang Theory, but she absolutely killed it in this flick, or in the show. It's a I think it's 6 to 8 episodes. They're about 45 minutes to an hour long. It's really, really good. Well written, good kind of like a dramedy. But I thought about that. I'm like, who could play? Because like I said, JR brought up a good point on Friday when he texted me and said, dude, they finally nailed my girl right. That they finally got Harley right, took 3 movies. So
granted, she did show bits and pieces of it during that atrocious. Well, some people liked it, but during Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, right? She was bits and pieces of her were there, but again, it might have been just my blindness and my bias because of how much hatred I had towards what they'd done to my girl, freaking Cassandra Cain, and all of that's a whole different freaking subject. But just from her small little mannerisms and her small little quips, I'm like, hell yeah, that's Amanda Connor all the way. As well as just like that's her quips, her small little things. And granted, like it was in the beginning and near like didn't take that much of the film, right? It was very Amanda Connor-esque. And I'm like, yeah, Amanda Connor is definitely the most influential Harley Quinn writer of this era today. Like when you the same way we go to the same way we kind of people still go to Frank Miller for people still go see Frank Miller as the Batman Dark Knight. That's it. Or they go to possibly what's another good one? Oh, they go to Ta-Nehisi Coates for Black Panther. Amanda Connor is the same way for Harley Quinn. Granted, yes, Amanda Connor's run is very much lighthearted, as you should be, because one, it's Harleen. Like you're supposed to be lighthearted. You're supposed to be, yeah, sure, a little zany. I mean, her Rebirth run, her first arc was basically Amanda Connor did that run where she was facing off a freaking zombie virus or some crazy stuff. I'm like, cool. That's I love that. That's fine. And she's also the one that introduced this ongoing relationship with Poison Ivy. So this is definitely the Harley Quinn that I know, that I love, that I enjoy, and I cannot wait to watch this movie, as well as just a bunch of other things, man. Freaking, we gotta talk about freaking King Shark. King Shark is looking to be the semi Groot of this era, and which is kind of sad. And like, which is kind of sad because like people are saying, well, no, that's not King Shark. King Shark's a lot more serious. Yeah, but you gotta have some type of zany and some type of like hardness when you have a 700-pound 8-foot king shark, great white
half
shark,
human, half shark.
Yeah, so like hopefully one day we'll get a more serious look on King Shark. But right now, dude, I'm chilling. I'm loving it. Idris Elba's in it.
Oh my god, he stole the show. Him and John Cena absolutely stole the trailer.
Hell yeah, man. John Cena's in it, and John Cena's getting already a freaking spin-off series. Like, come on, man.
He's already there. They're already filming it. Matter of fact, if anybody saw the video last night during the NCAA tournament, they had John Cena on TNT. Now, for those of you, wrestling break here, for those of you who don't know who John Cena is, he's a professional wrestler turned actor.
Yeah.
He is playing the Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad, which, like JR mentioned, got an HBO Max spinoff. They're already filming it.
Already.
James Gunn is, I believe, helping with the writing. He is producing it.
Yeah.
They're in Vancouver filming, so they were promoting it last night and promoting Suicide Squad and the trailer. The movie comes out in August.
Yeah.
So they're promoting it, and on the panel on TNT, for those of you who know, home of AEW Dynamite, just a couple of weeks ago, they had Shaquille O'Neal in a match against Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, of course, is the executive vice president of AEW, which is a rival, so to speak, of WWE, which John Cena is still under contract to.
Yeah.
And they kept baiting John to talk about Shaquille O'Neal's match and how good the match was and how good the show was on TNT. And
Mhm.
because John is such a pro WWE guy, because he's under contract, he's
Yeah.
loyal to Vince McMahon and the life that he's been given.
Yeah.
And so he wouldn't bite on this. And the internet was like, "Atta boy, John, way to play the company line and stuff like that and get your point across." But I thought
Yeah.
it was kind of a cool moment. But yeah, like JR said, Peacemaker is getting its own spin-off show before the
Yeah.
movie even gets released on
Yeah. So
August 6th on
yeah.
HBO Max.
Yeah. So again, like this is another look of the ongoing progression of the DCU right now, DCEU, where it's trying to not more so distance themselves from Snyderverse, but more so like expand in a way where hopefully it does give homage to to the Snyderverse, granting that maybe we keep one or two more of the characters, but like after Flashpoint, I don't see, and other than Aquaman and Wonder Woman, I don't see any other uses for other remnants of the Snyderverse in some of these actors. I would love to see Ray Fisher continue to be Cyborg in his own solo movie, but again, that's looking like it's slim to none too. And so when you have that, you go from that to getting The Rock as Black Adam. We have on in the cards another Aquaman. We have in the cards another Shazam, and possible maybe a team up there. What that team up's gonna look like, don't know. And of course, the one that's coming out or that has been finished wrapping is the Batman. Where that to me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm hoping that's more of Batman Zero, another great iteration of leading into what is the Batman mythos going to look like. And we again, this is what we need to have going forward for DCEU, because like people's been saying, man, like they need to catch up to MCU. They need to catch up. They're never catching them, and that's the
They
thing. You
just
gotta
need
be
to
okay with that.
establish their own. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta be okay with that, because as much as I got love for MCU, they don't have Joaquin. They don't have the Joker. They don't have the last couple of years. The DCEU has been really establishing themselves as like, all right, cool. Let's go serious. Let's
Mhm.
bring Joker. Let's bring these offbeat characters. Batman, who was once zany and quirky, or not quirky, but zany and like just kind of outlandish. A man dressed up in a bat suit, and have them kind of be more toned down or really surreal. Granted, Batman, we've had a lot of Christopher Nolan's work, and that was
Yeah.
based in realism. But again, Joker won a Golden Globe, won an Oscar. You have Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman, basically carrying this whole freaking franchise on her back for the last
Yeah.
5 years now. Basically, Aquaman coming into his own, and granted, yeah, people are gonna say, "Oh, Aquaman's this zany character, bro." Aquaman did better than freaking Batman vs Superman and Superman, Man of
Yeah.
Steel, nearly doing $1 billion. What are you talking about? Come on, there are definitely people who want to watch DCEU films. Yeah, let them have the chance, let them expand out. We don't need to be tied. They don't need to be tied down to a lot of the Snyderverse. And I got love for Snyderverse, but it's more so the impact of how his direction is really hampering the production as well as the outlook for some of these other movies. And
Yeah.
so with that, Suicide Squad 2 is basically going to show y'all what to look forward to with upcoming movies from DCEU. So that's the biggest thing. Another thing that I cannot wait, that's finally getting a live action movie, my friend, is Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima video game that came out in 2020, July 2020, made by Sucker Punch, owned by Sony. They just announced that yeah, we're gonna greenlight a freaking samurai movie. What?
Interesting.
A samurai movie, and it's gonna be directed by the John Wick director. I'm gonna probably butcher his name, but Chad Zalesky. He'll be having the film, and yeah, it's looking like this might come out in the next couple of years, man. But Sony Studios or Sony Pictures has been really amping up too, of just wanting more serious type of IPs, serious esque, and having a lot of their own IPs become these movies. And so we have, of course, um Last of Us being HBO, being HBO Max / HBO series, helmed by the director that did Chernobyl. We got Tom Holland in Uncharted with freaking with what's the name? Mark Wahlberg. And now we have Sucker Punch Studios with their Ghost of Tsushima film being helmed by the director of John Wick. Excuse me. And so I see a lot of these movies now, a lot of these action oriented or video game movies being a lot more serious nowadays, and I'm super excited for what Sony Pictures have in store. And just seeing the Tom Holland thing, Tom Holland's postings about Uncharted, how he wanted to keep the hair or the thing during
Yeah.
Spider-Man, and all this other stuff, as well as now just a lot of the good things I've been hearing coming from Last of Us HBO, like how serious they are about it and how really they want to bring the realism to it, and how it's gonna feature a lot of the first movie or the first game. I'm super digging. I am super digging how a lot of the plans are making up, man. So
Well, it should be really interesting. Like I said, like I said before, is I think that one of the great things about the streaming wars, so to speak, is the ability to find content, think outside the box, stuff like that, and let artists be artists.
yeah,
So we'll have to check this out. I mean, there's a lot of different uh artists, I guess the best way to do it, working a lot of different mediums coming together to come up with Ghost of Tsushima. Was it Tsushima?
yes,
Tsushima. So I'm interested. And like JR said, I don't know if you mentioned this too. Invincible has finally been released on Amazon Prime.
yeah. Oh my gosh, dude.
Of course, from the mind of Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead and Firepower. Which, by the way, speaking of Amazon Prime,
Yeah.
for the first time in my nearly 40 years of existence on this planet,
Okay.
I have watched the original Coming to America.
Yeah.
Finally saw the original. Absolutely hilarious. Some of Eddie Murphy's best work.
Absolutely.
I still need to see Trading Places.
Okay.
I've heard that movie is bonkers.
Yeah.
Some say that it is actually what they say. Sometimes it's in the same universe as Coming to America.
Yeah, it's definitely because yeah, definitely because there is a particular scene. There is a particular scene in Coming to America where they reference two old white guys
Yeah, he gives them a
that
bunch
were
of money.
homeless. Huh?
Yeah, he gives them a bunch of money.
And they, I'm gonna spoil it. Well, can I spoil this for you?
I kind of figured what it is, so go ahead.
But yeah, those two homeless guys, right, were actually a pivotal part in the Trading Places.
Trading Places. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
But that I'm going to see Coming to America, the sequel, next, and then I do want to watch Trading Places. And then I was just having a conversation with my parents yesterday, and they said they just recently watched Beverly Hills Cop, and they said it still holds up. And
Dude,
I think I've only seen parts of Beverly Hills Cop. That's the one that has Joe Pesci in it, right? No, is that Lethal Weapon?
That's
Lethal Weapon. That's Joe Pesci, yeah. So I've seen Lethal Weapon. I never saw Beverly Hills Cop, but it's I do want to see it. But a lot of stuff on my streaming queue right now. But so yeah, Invincible has finally come to Amazon Prime
too. Sorry.
Oh, so good. So many great lines and so many great scenes.
Go ahead, continue.
But so the jury's out.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Invincible yet, so we'll have to.
Some of the clips I've seen of Invincible, like, oh, they're going full. They are like legit they're pulling from the comics in the sense of like blood and gore. I'm like, yes, they didn't shy away
Which we
from
know
it.
Kirkman likes to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm talking about like massive, like, oh, I don't know you could do that. Like, have you watched Castlevania in the Netflix show?
No, which I always wanted to because I always liked the video game. Castlevania was one of my favorite video games.
Don't watch it with the kids. Whatever you do, not watch it with the kids.
No. I've seen the trailer for it, and
like the first freaking episode, you understand why he did the things he did, but good God, it is like grotesque, and that's in a similar vein of Invincible. So like, I'm super excited. I'm gonna continue to watch it, dude. I'm gonna watch it probably after we're done, and then. With that being said, guys, we're going to pivot into the main topic of today, or this podcast, is that it is actually our collector's episode, Redux, where we have said before, we said multiple times of how basically collecting has gone up, and that we've been
Oh yeah.
wanting to go back to, seeing what books to collect and what to look out for. And ever since the Disney Investor Summit with Disney, as well as like a bunch of shows that have coming out in the last 2 months now, 2-3 months now, as well as a lot of upcoming things that are gonna be down the pipeline. And so with that, my friend, we should go to one big thing. Unless you have something to say.
I was just God dang it. I was gonna say that speaking of one more last thing on the streaming wars,
Yeah.
if you have just I think the Snyder cut is gonna kind of find itself permanently on
Yeah.
HBO Max. I don't know if it's gonna be one of those movies that are gonna like disappear after 30 days or something like that, because it did not get a theatrical release. So I think this is something that's gonna be permanently staying on HBO Max. However, something that is coming to theaters this week, and actually in 2 days, would be Kong versus Godzilla. It actually will come out. Godzilla versus Kong. It will actually come out 2 days prior to its theatrical release, which is scheduled for the 2nd this Friday. And for a lot of theaters, this will be the first big movie to hit the silver screen since California has allowed theaters to reopen for the first time in over a year. So this will be the first big movie to get a big release. So if you are looking to see Godzilla versus Kong in theater, check out some of your local theater apps, or give them a call on their website and find out what they're screening. But Godzilla versus Kong, it'll be on HBO Max on March 31st, and it will be in theaters, I believe, April 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check that. But I could have sworn someone posted that it was coming on the 31st. But with that said, let's get right into I looked that up. We'll get things started with the, like JR said, the next run into our collectors series. And that is, like JR said, a lot has happened in the last few months. I mean, we did a collector's issue early on in our podcast season, and we talked about some of the stuff that has gotten hot. And
good God,
in just the last 4 months, things have gotten white hot in the collecting world, because of the potential for TV shows, Disney Plus shows, Marvel movies, reboots, sequels, stuff like that. So, but not just all things are Marvel, not all things are DC, not all things are Disney animation. There's also Star Wars. We're gonna kick things off, JR. We're gonna go all the way back to 1977, and these are shows these are books rather that have been directly inspired by, especially in this case, the Disney's Investor Summit back in December. You've seen some kicks, kind of kicked in the ass of sales over the last few months.
Very true.
So what you got
for me? Actually, the first one I was trying to find pictures to put up, and like hopefully when you guys are either watching us through YouTube, or maybe hopefully listening us through on your drive to work, or just listening through our podcast. Podcast links down below, or we will see them at the end of the podcast. Is that my very first one is actually an oldie but a greatie. Star Wars 1, released back in 1977. And granted, that's probably the most influential book for Star Wars. This book recently, man, has been kind of, it's been really spreading up, and it's not more so the reprint that came out kind of while after that. It's the original first release, the one that has the barcode on it, and it's the first appearance of Luke, Obi-Wan, R2-D2, Darth Vader, and Leia. I think, if I remember correctly, this book, a low-end version is somewhere within the $50 range, but then like the high 98s are going for like a lot of big money nowadays, man. That one really just not ricocheted, but it ratcheted up in pricing the last couple of months. But that was my number one.
Based on and this is what I'm going to be referencing. JR's got a couple other references, but based on Key Collector, Star Wars issue number 1 has a low end value of $40, mid range at $125. And the I guess the average high is at $550, which I think is still pretty low for a book of its caliber. So if you're looking to I think that book is going to just consistently go up and up and up. So
If the way that that everything's going right now, specifically for the Star Wars, and that hope there's a possibility of them expanding out, yeah, the book's just gonna go higher and higher. It's gonna definitely do way more, and that's definitely one to look out for, man. Granted, if you could find that book, in your local comic book shop, maybe online, maybe hopefully when the cons open up, and you know people. Hopefully, you guys can snag a book, man. A snag copy of Star Wars #1. Another one to get that too is Star Wars. Is Star Wars #2, the one that following right after that, because after that one is first appearance Han Solo and Chewie. It also has Greedo in it, and it has the Millennium Falcon and the Death Star. But mostly, the main reason I would have that is mainly because it's Han. It's Han and Chewie. The the dashly deed himself, the dashly fiend, not fiend, but like the dashing rogue himself. And of course, the Chewie, the ever silent-esque. I don't. He's not really a sidekick, man. He's his own freaking
he's his own character.
Yeah, he's a partner. He's a partner. So yeah, that's definitely want to get. I see the high ends. You got me at keycollector.com now. We are not affiliated with them, but they're great. They're definitely great.
It's a great source. I mean, it's not the end all, but
yeah,
it's a great source to have.
Yeah, it's a great source for that one. But yeah, Star Wars 2, a low end, they're selling for $20, which is really good. And the high end, $200. But you'd always find, variances and differences from there. Granted, now since it's like Star Wars is really, really freaking hot right now, guys, you might see more on the high ends of like near that $100 to $200 range for Star Wars #2. My big one though is because this one's coming out for me is Star Wars 42, first appearance of the one, the only. 1 second.
Boba Fett.
The only. Dang it.
Sorry, I was trying to time it right. Dang it.
How dare you?
I jumped the gun. I was trying to time it with you.
Boba Fett.
I was going to do the line. Boba Fett. Boba Fett.
Yeah, it's all good, bro. The #1 bounty hunter himself, man. And yeah, I saw that one going at Comic Asylum for quite a big hefty fine, man. And granted, yeah, it's definitely worth it. He's gonna have his own series coming out this year, actually, the end of this year.
Yeah, end of this year. He's got the
book of
Boba Fett.
Yeah, and so that one is definitely gonna go up, guys. Definitely keep a lookout for that one. I will probably end up buying my own sometime this year, hopefully for a reasonably good price. I gotta ask Chavez for a good one, but yeah, you have anything to add, my friend?
No, and I got so close to getting the Boba Fett book. They did a blind draw at an anniversary party a few years ago, and I actually got Star Wars #41, I think it was. So really, really close.
Yeah.
It's so funny, the Star Wars #1 book. When you look at it, the cover is kind of weird. It's almost kind of become a story in itself, because we're so used to the iconic movie posters of Star Wars.
Yeah.
That it's not what we kind of expected. And the mask of Darth Vader is drawn to a concept. And actually, a lot of the artwork on the front cover is drawn based on the concept art that George Lucas had for the original Star Wars. And it always throws me off when I look at the cover that I almost don't see Darth Vader's helmet. To me, it looks like a black chicken or something. I don't know. It just looks kind of weird, or whatever. It just doesn't look like Darth Vader's helmet. But so it always kind of intrigues me, and I guess it's kind of synonymous with the whole franchise. Just kind of like I guess I was so close to getting that book.
Yeah.
And the book that I do have, let me just double check. I'm almost positive it's Star Wars #41, which would be first appearance of Yoda.
I'll be right back. I gotta step out real quick. Just real quick.
But yeah, gosh darn it, Kevin, you're an idiot. Where's that? Star Wars. I have volume 1. Yeah, issue number 41, first appearance of Yoda. And what else? Cover art features the Millennium Falcon, 5-page explanation of Yoda's initial goblin-like appearance, illustrated by the Marvel's paperback edition of The Empire Strikes Back. High grade is going for 50, low grade 5. Typically, you could find one in the mid range for 15. But I have it at a high grade because Javel doesn't mess around with stuff like that. He doesn't mess around when he gives away stuff. He wants to make sure that his fans leave way happy. And it's so funny to show you how much that book has grown over the last few years. Like I said, if you look at my book, I'm pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm pretty realistic on the value that I give a book. And I bought a collection off someone about 3 or 4 years ago. And a lot of Silver Age and Bronze Age books and some Modern Age books. And it's where I actually found that Amazing Spider-Man 162. And I was pretty kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Pretty modest in my
Assessment
of the books. And my Star Wars number, I said, but I know for a fact the Star Wars 41 that I have is a relatively good version of the book. And when I got it a couple of years ago, high grade on it was $5, so barely above print. The high grade on Star Wars 41, which is not on JR's list, goes for $50 now. And the reason being, and I honestly believe that a lot of the reason behind it is it is the first cover appearance of the Millennium Falcon, if I'm not mistaken, and it's a cool picture.
Yeah,
but it also is the first appearance of Yoda, and Yoda has really kind of come up a lot in the last few years. Obviously, he reappeared in The Last Jedi. He is, some still are hell-bent in believing that Grogu, the baby Yoda, or the child from Mandalorian season 1 and season 2, is baby Yoda, that it is Yoda's illegitimate child, that he had a child out of wedlock with another species of his kind and came up with Grogu. But we don't know that for a fact if that'll ever be canon. But so I think that played into a lot of the reason why that first appearance of Yoda has kind of risen. Plus, it's Yoda. He's the top Jedi out there. So that's probably one of the reasons that it's gone on to it. Now, getting into some of the extended universe. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, I'm also hoping to possibly be part of the continuity and hopefully be someone's legitimate kids. is I got the next one on my list. This is definitely deep dive for me. This is definitely a deep cut for me, and this is definitely gonna be hopefully one of my Hail Marys type of things. Star Wars Dark Empire Volume 2, issues 5 and 6 specifically. These two specific issues are Jaina and Jason Solo and Anakin Solo. And yes, I've hyped these trio kids before. These are the kids. These are legitimate kids of Han and Leia's Solo. They're their kids. Jason Solo will be Darth Caedus eventually. And the Anakin Solo, he is basically the embodiment of Anakin Skywalker in the sense of knowing how to fly, knowing how to tinker. Jaina and Jason, they do become proverbial Jedi and Sith Lord masters in their own rights. And yeah, this is my just, I'm just chucking it. This is my, look at it. Hopefully it will be something. There is still, it's still roughly around, $5, $5 to $10. The extended universe specifically, they're not made from Marvel, but they are made from Dark Horse when they had the rights to basically make this huge plethora of extended universe runs. And so a lot of the a lot of the Star Wars characters that we actually kind of know nowadays too. Even the one that's coming up for me, even uh, Ahsoka Tano, they do come from the Dark Horse runs, and so those are my two hopeful gets that they will make their appearance inevitably. Yeah, that's definitely for me. One that is definitely in the Marvel run nowadays, and she is more so likely to be on a show. Is I got Star Wars Darth Vader #3, the first appearance of Dr. Aphra. I'm pretty sure she's gonna make it soon.
I got a reason to believe that
Yeah,
that's
the
gonna happen. I mean, I just hear so much about the character. So
yeah, the first, I think, if I remember correctly, the first Asian American, the first Asian uh main character in a Star Wars run. And she's a doctor, of course. She still has an ongoing run. Yep, she does an ongoing run as of today. She's one of the best. She's one of the better selling Star Wars books out right now. And her book, man, first Doctor Alfred, Darth Vader 3, it's gone up. It has gone up tremendously, man.
yeah, it's a book that I listened from time to time in to the Marvel podcast, and it is um it is definitely a book that comes up on the regular when they have a new issue coming out. And I remember there was a lot of talk, a lot of buzz about Dr. Aphra when the series first started, and it's gone up. And it's one of those few modern books that kind of holds a lot of ground. I mean, there's not very much that's the word I'm looking for. There's not a lot of modern books out there that hold strong value, and
Yeah, I'll give you
that's
that.
this has been one of those that kind of like, it's just like, it's not one of those books like you look at it and like, what's Dr. Aphra,
Yeah,
but it is something that's kind of held on to its ground.
yeah.
So
I will say there's a lot in the last couple of years. There hasn't necessarily been a lot of modern books that has been holding its value. It is literally just within the last year now that a lot of these books are more modern, just really spiked up the value because one, coronavirus, people getting money,
yeah,
and just overall collecting in all genres has gone up. Because like I think a lot of other books that I am going to talk about later on in the podcast that aren't affiliated with Marvel, with DC, with the big three per se, but Image included, right? These books have gone up too. One definitely when I'm talking about Something's Killing Children, that book blew the hell up just within the
yeah,
last 6 months, 3 months even. That book blew up. You're talking about a book for 9.8 that can't, I was hoping to look for $250 for 9.8. It is now well over $800, but that's just one book, one part one. You have anything to add, my friend?
let's see, sorry, having my mic got detached from the desk over here.
Okay, yeah, no
Not
problem.
really. I'm looking at the Star Wars run, and I think that the only thing that might inevitably become a stronger candidate down the road
Yeah.
is if they ever do green light the Old Republic show that's been long rumored for Disney Plus. But I know that they have not officially said anything, but I know that Marvel has been gung ho in writing
Please,
the series for
please.
so we'll see. And I think it's going to be an important book to the I think it's going to be an important book to the Star Wars mythos, and it's the only way to expand it, because you could do sequels all day long, but there's going to be but at the same time they have to be very careful about those
Mhm.
doing those kinds of prequels, because then you're expected to have, oh, you got to have this character, so you're going to be like a wink to the audience.
Yeah, I get you. Um, I also added another book, Star Wars, Darth Vader Volume 2. Is I'm hoping that we get a lot more of these characters in. Is issue 6, and it's basically just showing the Inquisitors, the Night Sisters, or specifically the not just the Night Sisters, but the Inquisitors, where they're basically kind of the hand of Darth Vader, where um they were prominently displayed in Star Wars Clone Wars animated series, as well as the recent video game that came out, Star Wars the Lost. What's called the most recent Star Wars video game. It's the name escapes my mind. It escapes my
No, I
mind right now.
can't.
But
Now
like,
yeah,
yeah,
you're gonna ask me, and I haven't played
yeah.
a
The
Star
main
Wars video
antagonist,
game.
yeah, the main antagonist, Trilla. She's a great character.
Yeah.
She is actually part of the Inquisitors, and so that's another book to look out for. The biggest one for me, actually, for this whole thing is that, or right now, the hottest one right now for the Star Wars book is actually Clone Wars #1. That is featuring the one, the only Ahsoka Tano and Captain
Your
Rex.
girl.
My girl, man. Captain Rex is also going to be rumored to have his own possible animated series or even series, and so that's just one to have. That book specifically is gonna way up in value, man. Way up in value. I was hoping to pick up one, you know, sometime last year when it was still semi cheap. But now, yeah, it's definitely a book that I gotta really save up for. But I'm definitely getting one just for the sheer fact that I love Ahsoka. So that's number one. And you have anything to add, my friend, before I finish out
No,
this?
no, no, no. Just Star Wars. To me, Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I love comic books, but Star Wars is such a niche. It's such it's such a tough comic book genre um to judge.
Mm.
I mean, it really does come down to people's because the market can drive up a book
Yeah,
no matter what no matter what it is.
yeah,
But Star Wars is really truly based on the fans alone. I mean, you could sit there and
absolutely.
say like, oh yeah, this comic book you know is based on whatever, there being a new movie, but Star Wars is just like, what are you willing to pay for?
That's
And I
very
guess you
true.
could say that about a lot of books, but I think
Yeah,
that you can just assume that right now, Suicide Squad books are hot.
yeah.
Books from the Justice League are hot.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially Black Adam books are going to
It's
be
gonna be
hot.
hot. Yeah,
Black Widow books, books which we're going to get to,
yep,
books based on the Falcon and Winter Soldier, the Visions, Wanda and Scarlet Witch, or
yep,
sorry, Vision and the Scarlet Witch,
yeah,
stuff like that are hot books right now
yeah,
because the market dictates.
yeah.
Star Wars is, I don't know, it's kind of tough. It's a
It
neat.
definitely. I didn't add a couple other ones here too because I was hoping that possibly we see them like uh what's the name the last Padawan was supposed to be on here as
Yeah.
well as another book I forgot his name, man. He came out, of course, in I legit just forgot his name, but yeah, the last Padawan, whom I was looking for a copy of possibly about a month and a half ago, and those books are really going up in price too, man. Before you would find this book for maybe somewhere in the range of $50 to $80. Now, for a raw, it's within a couple hundred now, which is it's gone crazy. It's definitely gone crazy on that end. The last book I that which is also possibly um well it's a safe bet. There you go. I'll say that. Star Wars Heir to the Empire #1 because it features Admiral Thrawn. I'm hoping that Mara Jade Skywalker, which he also appears in that book, will also be in there somehow. Will be put to live action form. But the best bet is possibly to get your first Admiral Thrawn, Star Wars Heir to the Empire #1, and he, of course, is going to be coming out probably in the Ahsoka Tano solo spinoff,
Oh yeah.
possibly somewhere down the line because of just seeing or just hearing a lot of the possibilities of what's going to happen throughout the whole Star Wars mythos. This is definitely a book to look for, guys. And the one book that I was and the one video game that I was that escaped me was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and that kind of just is kind of ends semi. Well, yeah, I guess ends our Star Wars possible books to get. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more that's coming out or even coming through the grapevine right now, man. But those right now for me specifically are the books to get. How about you, my friend?
Uh, I can't think of anything else on Star Wars. But moving right into something that I know a little bit more about it, because like I said, JR has such an amazing
That's that kind of one.
is such a deep appreciation for the Star Wars mythos, and especially for the extended universe that I guess I have a trouble with, because I wanted the sequel trilogies to be more like, what's that?
To work
And be more like the extended universe, but we got what we got, and I don't like revisionist history. I don't like rewriting history and stuff like that. So the Star Wars comic books and the books, I guess I kind of have, I don't hold in high regard. I don't collect a lot of, don't know a lot about them. I don't hate them. It's not my deal, because it's not canon in the movies. When you have comic books based on movies, you expect there to be a little connection. I know that obviously the comic books for, like, say, for Marvel, our next section, is not, the comic books are not tied to the movies. The movies aren't connected to the comics. So they have, the movies do have their own comic book tie-ins, but they're not connected to the main comic books. But it is kind of nice to have kind of a reference point in some cases. So with that said, let's move right to the Marvel section. And again, based on, what's that?
Kick it off, my friend.
Okay. Based completely on the aforementioned shareholders meeting, one of the huge surprises from that investors meeting was the fact that the inevitable introduction of a very popular modern character is Miss Riri Williams, the teenage super genius, aka Ironheart, who made her first appearance in Invincible Iron Man #7 in a cameo, and then eventually made her first full appearance in Invincible Iron Man #9 that came out just a few years ago. That book, taking a look at CLZ Key Collector alone, I know that book has jumped through the roof. Now, I got lucky and got that book relatively cheap. I bought the entire run off of a collector online, and managed to get the entire run for probably about $50-$60.
Nice.
Right now, first print Iron Man #7, Invincible Iron Man #7, during the Civil War. It's a Civil War II tie-in. First cameo appearance of Riri Williams, later becomes Ironheart. First appearance of Tommy, an Inhuman who manipulates machinery through technopathy. Whatever that word.
Technopathy.
High grade on that one is $70 right now, and I believe I have 2 copies of it. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to go to my CLZ app, which is not. That's why I was kind of seemed distracted. I was trying to get my CLZ app to work, and it's not.
Collectors in this, man. Yeah, I have #9. I think I was looking for #7, but I know the #9 was definitely the one that people really do want, because it features the suit and her.
Yeah.
So that's definitely the one I got. I think I got that one off of I won that one at a raffle at Comic Asylum. They raffled that one away, and so that one is looking like it's a high $100. So that's definitely one to get for. Look for right now, that's within a decent range. Actually, I'm gonna check right now. I'm gonna check eBay to see if it's in a decent pricing right now.
But like JR said, a lot of people want that one. It's not one of my favorite covers, because it does not. The artist on it did not draw Mary Jane quite nice. To me, I apologize to anyone who finds this offensive, but I'm going to say it anyways. It looks like crackhead Mary Jane.
Is that Mark Brooks?
It is Mike Deodato is the artist. It does not say if he's credited for the cover, but this is also a Brian Michael Bendis run on Invincible Iron Man. So say what you will about Brian Michael Bendis. I actually enjoyed some of the writing. It's actually one of the few books that I started piling on to my pull list. I pretty much kept it to I pretty much had kept it to Captain America, Steve Rogers, the Avengers, but and Civil War 2, because that was coming out. That was the big push, the big book coming out. But I've enjoyed, I was not one of those people, like, as people again kind of went in on Riri, and kind of the same way they did when we talked about this in some of our previous episodes. They went in after Riri like they did with Jane Foster, like they did with Sam Wilson, being like, oh, it's Sam Wilson, he's the Black Captain America. Well, if you watch our Falcon and the Winter Soldier wrap up for episode number 2, you'll find out that's not correct. And then people are like, oh, why is there going to be a female Thor? We all got to be woke.
I hate that terminology.
It's like Riri was her own character. I enjoyed the book, and she's been a fun character, a breath of fresh air for that franchise. Taking a look again, it's Invincible Iron Man, volume number 2. It ran from I think from 2015 to 2016. First book was, let's bring that up. What's 1A? When was it printed? CLZ, you're pissing me off.
All I remember is that it definitely was Bendis's run, and I think that was his last run. That Civil War 2. That was his last run throughout Marvel, and then he dipped. He went to DC to make Superman. Good God! But again, if you've been a long time listener of us, you would definitely understand our hesitation with the one, the only Michael Bendis. But he does make good characters. I'll say that when it's his own characters, he makes really great characters. So Riri is definitely gonna be a mainstay within the Marvel universe, and she's already been in a couple of other. She's been in Champion. She's been in Iron Man. Of course, she had her own Iron Man run. She's in Iron Heart, and I think she's also gonna be in Champions again. I think they're continuing her run in Champions. So
it ran for a full year from December of 2015 to December of 2016. Right in the middle of Iron Man, right in the middle of Civil War. I do only have one copy of cover A, that's number 7. I do have cover B. Taking a look at the variant books right now. The second print with the actually I take it back. I have the third print. The second print is going for $30. That's with the blue lettering. I have the purple lettering. Actually take it back. Third print, high grade, $25. So I actually do have some money on that book. A really super rare variant for issue number 7 is the Women of Power book. It does feature I don't know if it's going to come across real well, and it doesn't, but it's Mary Jane in the pink outfit. Of course, we know that in this series, spoiler alert, Mary Jane Watson becomes the CEO of Stark Industries when it's determined that Tony Stark is incapacitated. Of course, this is during the two things. Number one, Stark Industries is purchased at some point in the Marvel universe, purchased by Parker Industries. And Peter Parker can't run a business. He's got the brains. He's probably, from a technological standpoint, he is one of the top young brains in the Marvel universe. And I know it's like, well, how can you rank fictional characters when it comes to intelligence? Because they're not real people. Let us nerds have our own shit, okay? But Peter Parker is ranked one of the top brains of the Marvel universe, and he buys Tony Stark out because Tony's company is fledgling, and then Peter Parker wants to still be Spider-Man, so he can't run a business, and the business fails. Stark grabs it from out of bankruptcy, and it's no longer Stark Industries. It's I can't remember what it is. It changes. It's Stark Enterprises. I can't remember. They changed names, and
they
named Mary Jane the CEO.
It was because of the events of, if I remember correctly, it was because of the events of the clone, like the clone conspiracy that was happening
Uh,
in Spider-Man. That
I thought
yeah,
Clone
like
Conspiracy took place afterwards, but I could be wrong.
it was more so like how he lost. It was definitely the end of Dan Slott's run, and how Peter became back to the Peter that we all knew when
Yeah.
you were younger. But yeah, for those who don't know, yeah, Peter somehow, well, he didn't somehow become a billionaire, but he became a billionaire during the run of when Doc Ock took over his body. Yes, I know comics. So Doc Ock took over Spider-Man's body, and he in that small time frame he rose up Peter Parker Industries. So there's that whole storyline. But yeah, Invincible Iron Man 7 and 9, they're going pretty high. I saw a 98 of number 9 going for about under $500 right now.
Right now, like you said, we're going to be using this as a reference tool. Right now, Key Collector has it as a high grade going for 100. I actually have 2 copies of number 9. I thought I had 2 copies of 7. I have 2 copies of number 9. Plus, I have the second printing, which if you take a look at Key Collector again, you go over there. The second printing is going for $65. That's with the blue text. There was also a Horseman of the Apocalypse variant cover by Chris Turcotte. That book right now, super rare, going for $450 right now. So yeah, check it out. Kind of running down some of the key books for Riri Williams, which we'll get. I don't know if it's all on JR's list, but Invincible Iron Man number 1, that's volume 3. High grade, $10, kind of dropping a little bit because even though it's a first cover appearance of Riri Williams as Ironheart in her new costume. The Invincible Iron Man number 3, it's the first in story appearance of Riri in red and gold Ironheart armor. It's her Mach 2 outfit. And of course, it also shows that Tony Stark is the one who suggests the name Ironheart. Champions number 22, debut of the new Ironheart armor. Also, it's where Amadeus Cho changes his name from the totally awesome Hulk to Braun. So lame.
Yeah, weird.
And then of course, her own title, first solo series featuring Ironheart, Riri Williams. First mention of the 10 Rings terrorist organization in regular Marvel continuity. I kind of find that's kind of odd. The 10 Rings. I thought that had been around for a while, but nonetheless. And then the first meeting of Shuri and Ironheart, which is Ironheart number 9, high grades going for 12. So these are all kind of like real basically. You could find these in a if you're looking to collect or fill some gaps, you can find these probably in flipping through some long boxes and get for maybe a couple bucks above cover grade. Moving on to the next big character, I think, because we're going to see Christian Bale play him in Thor, Thor, Love and Thunder, is Gore the God Butcher. First appearance of him in Thor, God of Thunder number 2. This was a Marvel Now creation, if I'm not mistaken.
It was
mid 2000s creation.
Yeah, it's definitely from your boy Aaron, and so it's just credit to him. He had a small run of God of Thunder to transition into the more current run of Thor. Well, not the current run, but like the one before, the one actually I think it's before during Mighty Thor, his run in there. But yeah, it's always been a big book. It's always been a good book because Gore has been referenced a lot more in the last up to his creation, which did happen in I think 2014, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I know it was right around that time.
Yeah, he's definitely a more recent addition to the Thor mythos, man. But yeah, he has definitely left his mark, man. He's the reason why Thor became unworthy. Well, he wasn't because he became unworthy, but like in that one. And since Gore is been referenced that he's gonna be in Love and Thunder, that book just really went bonk insane, man. But 2011. Okay, so the book came out in 2011, and so this is before his before his run, official run. But yeah, it's going the raws for this book is only between like the low end $20, the high end maybe even $200. But I'm gonna do a quick reference to eBay right now to see what the 9.8 or a possible 9 is going for. Just 1 second. Ooh.
Now,
So
you're still looking at the Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah.
Sorry, my headphones were going out, so I was like, what the hell happened? While JR pulls that up, I want to skip ahead to kind of keep the train rolling here a little bit. This one is one of those books or one of those characters that's gonna start a war amongst comic book nerds. And I know that Key Collector has a whole channel, I think, on YouTube dedicated to debunking the quote Cameo first appearance, whole
what came first?
Who came first, chicken or the egg kind of deal.
Yeah.
Now, JR has down in his notes, and he's not wrong, that all new Marvel Now .1 number 1
he's talking about
was the first appearance of Kamala Khan. Now, there is a ton of references in her section on Key Collector that agrees and kind of disagrees with you're not wrong. So going through I'm going to list all the keys on Kamala here in just a second here. So first cameo appearance of Kamala Khan, later becomes Miss Marvel, was in Captain Marvel number 14. One panel appearances of Khan watching Captain Marvel fighting a villain. Captain Marvel number 17, second cameo appearance of Kamala Khan, later becomes Miss Marvel. See, this is where it kind of gets a little fishy. How can you have 2 cameos? The only person who's allowed to have multiple cameos is Stan Lee. Sorry. Captain Marvel 17, second printing, variant, second printing cover. Second cameo appearance by Kamala Khan. First cover appearance of Kamala Khan as Miss Marvel in costume. So this is super rare. And it's an iconic cover on Miss Marvel. It's a sketch variant of the book, and it is going for, because it's a first cover appearance, it's going for a high grade of about $1,000. So I don't get, how can you have three appearances? I know they're calling them cameos.
Yeah.
And a cover and it not count, but you can make the same argument about Gwenpool.
Yeah.
But then all new Marvel Now previews number 2, preview of Miss Marvel number 1. Prior to the publication of this preview book, Miss Marvel Kamala Khan appeared in costume only on the cover of Marvel number 17, second printing in a variant, and it was a variant. So
I think we had the same problem with actually no, one came out in 2013 and one came out in 2014. So that's the interesting thing. I thought before they've had this problem with another character, with actually Batman Who Laughs, where Teen Titan or Titans, I think Teen Titans 19 or whatever it was when Batman Who Laughs came out, there was literally another book that came out that exact same day that had him too. I thought it was going to be one of those things where, like, which book actually came out first type of thing. But actually, what happened with Batman Who Laughs is that these 2 books that had him came out the exact same day. I thought that probably would have been this problem, because a lot of people are saying that, Captain Marvel 14 should definitely be the first actual appearance of Kamala Khan. But then the first and people are saying the first cover variant with her in it is gonna be Marvel Now .1. I put this in there specifically because of how much that book is going up right now. Granted, I should have said, I should put in quotations first appearance, but overall, just like you can't really go wrong. I know the Captain Marvel one is definitely the book that's way more pricier nowadays. It might be out of the pocketbooks for possibly a lot of our audience. But like, if you're looking for possibly a little more rare of a book, Marvel, I would say for me, Marvel Now .1 is definitely the more unknown of the book, the more underground. No, you can't really say underground, but like definitely the one that that's off the beaten path type of thing.
And like Jared said, it is the first full appearance of Kamala Khan,
Mhm.
interior story, first appearance of Bruno Corelli, first appearance of Tanal the Pursuer,
Yep.
other fringe characters. Um, and so the book high grades going for 160. There are a couple other books in her keys that have some pretty good call, and of course the iconic cover of her first issue, number one. Of course, it's kind of the um this was a cover swipe, wasn't it? Of the one where you see her, she
Oh,
just has
her
the S on
S.
her chest. Yeah,
Uh,
and she has the
Honestly,
scarf around her neck.
I
Wasn't
mean,
there like
if it
a
was
skateboard episode, a skateboard
no,
book or something like that?
if anything, that S, right, the most resemblance I could probably get, it was a Supergirl one, which was it was a Kara something, the one
Yeah,
Supergirl that has an S on her chest too. That was possibly the only one that I could think of that's possibly a probable homage. But
and I do know that one. That like, oh, excuse me, the Miss Marvel one still came first. So, but
really,
yeah, I
no,
don't
you're
have to
talking about
look.
the
I have
super.
to look it up.
It's not. It should be the
Supergirl
Supergirl
one,
one.
Supergirl one, I thought came second.
The Supergirl one came out in like 1990s, dude.
Oh, is that what it's okay?
Yeah,
Then maybe that's what I'm
Supergirl.
thinking of.
Because you will go ahead. I'm down this rabbit hole now, but I
Okay,
can't.
well, another character that was confirmed to be appearing in an upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Of course, it's going to be getting Doctor Strange 2. America Chavez. America Chavez, of course, is one of the many multiverse incarnations of Captain America. America Chavez is a was it half black, half Puerto Rican, or no? Or
Yeah,
she's
half
just
black,
Puerto
half Persian.
Rican.
Yeah.
Character to portray Captain America. She is also uh, in comic canon, in the comic book canon. She is also openly lesbian.
Mm,
She is one of the few openly gay characters.
mm,
So yeah, that was, and I know that there was a lot of buzz around her first book, her first
yeah.
solo book, but it tanked. It just, we talked about this and maybe I'll tag that issue or that
Yeah.
episode. I think it was like for one of our first two episodes. We talked about the America Chavez effect, that it just
Yeah.
so
It was.
desperately they
Yeah.
wanted to jam down the their that platform, that um story. It just ended up failing
Yeah.
as a book. But the first appearance of her is Vengeance number one.
Yeah.
I just think anything having to do with America Chavez is obviously going to go up.
A quick
I just
question.
don't know. I just don't know how strong of a character she's going to be though.
It's gonna be interesting. Quick question. What? How old is that Kamala Khan book?
Oh my goodness! I knew you were going to ask me, and I just
2011, 2012.
Kamala Khan, the the first appearance book or the first solo series is April of 2014.
Yeah. So yeah, the Supergirl one that I was referencing was referenced back to 2004. Actually, yeah, that one
Okay,
it
so
was
that one did come first. Okay,
yeah, that one came first. So that I'm thinking that might be the homage to it because yeah, it's Supergirl with a skateboard, and Linda Lee Danvers was the Supergirl at that time. But yeah, I'm going back onto America Chavez. Yeah, definitely. Uh, as much as I wanted to like her original run, I think it only had like 8 to 9 issues. Man, it's just more so like they literally painted the artist or the author slash writer into a corner with like it wasn't the story that she wanted. It was definitely the story that she wanted to tell, but not the story that Marvel wanted,
yeah,
type of thing. And yeah, I don't know. It was a very weird book. Like one of her last main villains was called the Dominatrix, and they had to deal with like that a lot of the Dominatrix, not Dominatrix, but like their character, the villain was very much a Dominatrix, and so it was a interesting run to say the least. I was just hoping to see more of America Chavez farther on. I personally enjoyed the America Chavez that was in the Captain Marvel run as well as Civil War 2. where she was butting heads with Captain Marvel. She was definitely against a lot of the ideologies that Captain Marvel set, being a semi, quote unquote fascist.
Yeah.
And yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that America Chavez. And so here's hoping we get more of that. I know she's currently in. I think she's in champ. No, she's not in champion. I think she's in She's in
Well, that was
Sword.
the
I
thing.
know that for sure.
She was unofficially
Yeah.
in Young Avengers.
Yeah.
And I think that the direction the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going, they
May-
want
You might make her older. Yeah.
they might make her no, they may make her they may
Younger?
add her officially. They're still talking that they're going to do a Young Avengers movie, and they're
Yeah.
going to have, rather than do champions or whatnot, that they're going to do
Young Avengers?
and spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode number 2, just going to do a semi spoil here. The character that um the nephew of Isaiah Bradley, who comes to the door when Bucky and Sam knock. What was his first name?
I forgot.
Anyways, the character he is playing, and they say his name, is the version is he's like a hooded Captain America. He almost kind of looks like Zemo a little bit, but he's got a blue hood on, and he plays Captain America in Young Avengers. And there's talk that they could maybe do something more with that character, that kid might kind of come out of nowhere and become Captain America, maybe, or maybe they go a different direction. But there's talk at least that Kamala Khan, Ironheart, Kate Bishop, America Chavez,
Yep.
and possibly Miles Morales. I think it's Stinger. I always forget what Cassie Lang's character's name is. I always thought it was Stinger.
Yeah.
That with like I said, they're not going to bring Catherine Newton in, unless they're gonna put some mustard behind her character. So, I would look into some of these America Chavez books, especially the Ultimates, where she's in these team up stories.
That's what I'm talking
But she was unofficially a member of the Young Avengers, along with Kate Bishop, Novar, Wiccan, Hulkling, Kid Loki, and of course she was known as Miss America.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is, it says here, a speculation that each of the Disney Plus shows will introduce a member of the Young Avengers into the MCU, who will later band together and will likely be its own TV series. But so far there has been no word on it to indicate that this is happening. That of course is based on Young Avengers #1, which is holding right at above cover price of $3, but it's still
basically just keep on lookout for a lot of America Chavez books right now. I know the biggest one that has been put out is actually America Chavez, or America #2. There's a variant of it out that is by his name escapes me at the moment, man, but like it was a 1 out of 50 variant book, and that's before
Art
it was pretty. Yeah, Art Adams. That before was a pretty pricey book that I want to get, but now it just skyrocketed to like
$225 is what it's going for. Now, wasn't there a variant of #1?
Yeah, it was
the quote Beyonce cover.
The gold Beyonce cover one, and as well as the hip hop variant that was the Hamilton variant. So those are the books that you also get.
That's right.
Those are the ones to get to. And yeah, just look out for those books specifically, because those are the ones that are definitely gonna go up in pricing. That's the ones that can hold its value, because even though America Chavez or America was a very short run, that was probably the more epitomal books to have her front and cover. Rather than, even though it's always good to pick up Avengers 1 anyway, which her first appearance, of course. Moving on, I know that that my cohort here has said before that when he thinks about WandaVision, he thinks of this specific cover of WandaVision.
The Joe Quesada, the fraction.
Yeah, the cube type of thing, the Joe Quesada. Very, very beautiful art. I think it was the one for 20 book. House of M #1. That book specifically right now is going for high end $125. I know this because I've been trying to bid on one the last couple of days. And it's definitely a beautiful book. Definitely a very striking book. You see WandaVision. No, you see Wanda or Scarlet Witch at this point. She is just kind of like a puzzle piece being put back or even taken apart, and it is definitely a very striking, definitely a visual book, and you see bits and pieces of that throughout the last couple episodes
Oh, yeah.
and of the series itself. And yeah, that's just definitely another book to look forward to. Joe Quesada variant, that's a good one. Another book to go for, specifically WandaVision, is Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 16, first Monica Rambeau. You have it on there.
Yeah, I do. So if you're on the YouTube channel, I just put it up behind me. That is the Joe Quesada cover.
Yeah.
As some people call it, the fraction issue. But it is very much kind of reminiscent. And it's funny is they kind of reference this book in JR mentioned Monica Rambeau. They kind of referenced this book with how Monica came back from the blip.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's very much kind of, so yeah, Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 16, first Monica Rambeau.
Yep.
Of course, that is a very iconic cover. That's the she's kind of got her arms stretched out, the aura around her, very much taking on her persona of Spectrum.
Yep.
And that one, I think last time I saw that book was going for high grade, like around like $50, which is not bad.
It's still pretty acquirable at the moment, guys.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's definitely a book to look out for. Moving onwards too is that Uncanny X-Men 94. Now this is actually technically, again, like I said before, the second quote unquote appearance, right? Even though I think these books came out around the same time, if not the same day. It's the second appearance of the new X-Men team that appeared in Giant Size X-Men number 1. And this is the you good?
I was say giant. For those of you who don't know, giant size X-Men number 1, of course, was basically the modern retelling, kind of relaunch, so to speak, of the classic X-Men. Of course, to the costumes that we know in them, and kind of the version of the team, especially for those of you who grew up on the animated series. That's what Giant Size X-Men number 1 is. So, but sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, that this of course first appearances Nightcrawler, Petro, not Maximoff, but Petro. What's it? Give me help me out here.
Petro Maximoff?
Not Maximoff. Forgot his name, dude. Literally forgot his name. All metal.
Colossus.
Yeah, but I'm gonna check him as the actual first name though. Peter.
Oh, I can't think of
Peter. Yeah, I forgot his last name. But it features a lot of new. It also features the first time Wolverine in the X-Men group. Of course, we all know Wolverine comes in Hulk 181, but he hasn't appeared in the X-Men book until actually Giant Size X-Men 1. But yeah, it has a bunch of first appearances of the newer cast bringing into it. So that book specifically gone up. Actually, my favorite looking X-Men cover, because of how it was just a very interesting book. I know that Javelle has had 2 or 3 of them in the store in the time that I've been there, and it's always gone for pretty big, for a high number anyway, because it features the X-Men. The second.
You're talking about 94, Uncanny 94, or Giant Size number 1?
94. Dude, he had Giant Size X-Men. I'm pretty sure he does have Giant Size X-Men, but he doesn't want to sell it. but he's had like 2 or 3 of Uncanny 94 just around. And like, I'm always in awe of it. Like, dude, what the heck? Javelle, like, yeah, man, just had it. And so I know that on one occasion he had one for about $200, and one a higher grade one for like $310 or something like that at the time. And they're both scooped up. And yeah, moving on from Uncanny X-Men is we're going on to a little bit more of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Is of course Truth, Red, White, and Black number 1, first appearance of the one, the only Isaiah Bradley, aka Black Captain America. That book has recently gone up. Before
just a little bit.
has recently gone up. It averaged somewhere between before, cover price to about $10, right? For number 1. It is shot up to $100 now, $110, $115, because of the include the what's the word I'm looking for? It since it become known of a first super serum soldier, after Captain America. And so we have the first Black Captain America finally on screen. And this book came out 2003, if I remember correctly. And I know we spoke about this last podcast. And so the book came out in 2003. It's definitely jumped up. Definitely, it's looking like it might have some staying power. Hopefully, if we have another iteration of Black Captain America coming onto either the small screen or the big screen, hopefully we do. And yeah, man, that book really just the whole run actually. I think it's like a 5-issue run.
Yeah, it was like a little like mini series. I
Yeah.
know that during like the Marvel Now
Yeah.
run that they that they
Make reference to it.
tried to, yeah, that's when the series ran. They like to do those little mini series. So
Yeah.
Sticking with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier references, a book that has seen a gigantic rise in price probably since since August of 2019, and that is Captain America 323, first appearance of U.S. Agent, aka John Walker. It was made official at D23 in 2019, just a short few weeks after Marvel rocked Hall H with their first few Disney Plus shows, including Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But when they gave more information as to what was going to go on in this show, they mentioned that they would be bringing in Wyatt Russell to play a character. And at the time, Wyatt had a full ginger beard going, and they're like, well, the dude's coming, look like he could be in The Walking Dead right now.
Yeah.
But no, instead he shaved it off, and he looks first off looks a lot like his dad. Of course we know him as the Kurt Russell, aka what was the planet his name? He plays the Livian planet in Guardians of the Galaxy.
I forgot, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But anyways, so ever since then, people are like speculating about what John Walker's involvement was going to be in this series, and we're finding out just 2 episodes in, and just exactly what's going on. So again, the book's kind of on the rise. It's not we're not talking triple digits or anything, but
it's always been pretty high. It's always been pretty high regardless because of that. And also, funny story, Wyatt Russell had also come out to say that he actually auditioned for the original Captain America way back when.
He was auditioned. He did audition for Steve Rogers back for First Avenger.
Yep.
And I think the reason being was because the first choice was always Chris Evans, but Chris Evans did not want to do the show because he had already played Johnny Storm and did not want to play another superhero. And I believe they said that the story goes that Robert Downey Jr., I think, convinced him to play the role, and that's Chris Evans, who was still reluctant while filming the movie to play the character. But he says, I did it because Robert Downey Jr. made me. He basically bullied him to do the role. But and he's another guy too that's parlayed his career into creativity, and he actually has a show on Disney, or not on Disney Plus, on Apple TV Plus. He's got a show that I think was nominated for an Emmy. But nonetheless, I digress. But again, Chris Evans owes a lot of his success, and he's admitted it to playing the Star Spangled Man with a Plan, which, by the way, cool version of the story of the song, that particular song, on the opening to episode 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I cannot wait. The soundtrack for Falcon and the Winter Soldier Part 1, which will be episodes 1, 2, and 3, comes out this week. So I can't wait to get that. The marching band version of Star Spangled Man with a Plan. I love music. Sorry, I'm a huge music nerd. Speaking of going on next to the next character that I think is gonna be hit or miss. Because this next character could end up being a character, hopefully, that's like a Batroc the Leaper, that's like a Baron Zemo, that's like I was gonna say Ulysses Claw, but they killed him in Black Panther. Is a character that, or like a Mysterio that's not dead yet. Now I know Mysterio, technically they said he died, but I think that no body, no death, and I don't think Mysterio died in Far From Home. Taskmaster is expected to make his appearance or he actually is going to make his appearance in the Black Widow, which we mentioned is going to be launching in July. and they said that he's very comic faithful to his superpowers, which is he's able to predict your moves. He studies your moves, and
Yep.
he's inevitably able to stop you. And I could tell you one thing: they did a great job of Taskmaster in the Spider-Man PlayStation 2 game, PlayStation 4 game a couple of years ago. I'm way off. But this version, it's a little different looking, still somewhat faithful to the look.
Mhm.
But Avengers number 196, first appearance of the Taskmaster. Um, it's up there. That's got to be a four figure book.
498, not necessarily. Let me double check real quick. But I do know that the low end, like if it's like a beat up reader copy, is about averaging somewhere between $15-$20. But then the high end of that is going actually roughly about 130, I think. Let me double check right now. I'm pretty sure it's gone up because of how close the movie's gonna be. But let me just double check for you right now. Yeah, about 125 to
Okay, so
about
it's not
130.
flying. Okay, I thought maybe Taskmaster, who's been a long time villain, maybe we be pulling
It's
a little
more,
bit.
yeah, he's definitely one of those characters that like he was designed specifically, specifically to fight off. He's a plot device type of character, of course. Granted, people are gonna say reference to him like, oh, but he's freaking Deathstroke, right? But
Yeah.
like he's definitely a hit or miss character, and I don't know. I just see. I'm hoping that they definitely flesh him out. The 9/8 for his run definitely go up with the in the thousands of dollars. But like you're talking about a book that came out in 1980, hoping to find these a really really super clean copy of of Avengers 196. Even though it is the first appearance of Taskmaster, like it's already a rare occasion to have a 9 to 9/8. So, but right now, good book to have right now, good book to look at. I know I had a friend of mine, one of my very first Comic Cons, or one of my very first Wonder Cons, that he specifically wants to look for that book. He got one for a reasonable price, but that was 2-3 years ago and already that book has jumped up pretty considerably from that time frame, especially when he was announced to be the possible main villain within the Black Widow movie. So very
We'll go kind of a rapid fire on these last few.
yeah.
Obviously, first Falcon, Sam Wilson, Captain America number
117.
117. These
Yep.
are not going to be easily obtained books.
Oh yeah,
So that's why
absolutely.
it's like not going to spend a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if you find this book and you can afford it, grab it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Captain America Comics number 1 is
Yeah.
is that,
Super
that's tough. That's right
super
up there. That's really, really and truly Captain America Comics number 1 is like trying to get an Action Comics number 1. It came out around the same period. I know Action Comics number 1 was 1938, 1939.
Mhm.
Obviously, Captain America Comics number 1 was 1941, 1942 because it was a
Mhm.
propaganda book
Yeah.
written by it wasn't Simon and Schuster, but
No.
it was Kirby, and it wasn't Kirby and Lee. It
Mm-mm.
was Kirby and someone else. I can't think of who it was, but anyways, you can find an Action comic if you can find a Captain America Comics number 1.
Yeah.
Grab it if you can afford it.
Yeah.
Doubtful you can afford it, but whatever.
Yeah.
First appearance of Bucky Barnes, also in that same book. But here's another one: Captain America, Sam Wilson, number 3. First appearance of Joaquin Torres.
Yep.
We don't know yet if Joaquin Torres in Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to get his superpowers like he does in the book, where basically he becomes a mutated Falcon. We don't know, but I'll tell you one thing: they casted Joaquin Torres almost perfectly
Yeah.
for Falcon
Really.
and Winter Soldier. And then, of course, Captain America number 25 came at the conclusion of Civil War number 1.
Yep.
And that, of course, is Death of Captain America. Spoiler alert: Captain America is actually killed, if I'm not mistaken, by none other than Sharon Carter. I believe, yeah, I think Sharon Carter was under the
Influence?
was
Was
under
it
the
like
influence of the Red Skull, but
I don't remember.
basically she was not of sound mind, and
Yeah.
she
I
straight up
thought he
shot Captain America.
yeah, I thought like he wasn't necessarily killed because it was also around the same time when Batman was supposed to be killed too, right? But they shot him like a time something. I don't remember if he was killed in this one, but they say they showed Death to Captain America. But also last one for Marvel, I wanted to put this out. Thor 337, first Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah,
That
sorry, I missed that one. I have
so
that
yeah.
book.
Yeah, I had that one book too. So that book, I bought for like $20, and it's going for like a pretty high number now.
It's last time I checked, it was going for about $60-$75. It's not a huge book, but it's funny. It was a real quick story. I bought this collection behind me in the book, but I'm not actually in my garage. I'm in my office. I have a green screen behind me, but this is a picture that I took back last summer when I moved my comic book collection to my garage. And most of this collection behind me is a collection that I bought off of a friend of mine, and I didn't know what I had, and I think nobody who would have bought this collection would have known what they had, and they probably waited and made the same offer that I made for it. And in there, I remember I'm flipping through it, and I found a first appearance of Beta Ray Bill, and I was super stoked. And I remember I was organizing all the books because I had it scattered all over my my dining room, and I had a whole stack of Thor books, and I hadn't really gone through them yet. And so my wife comes over and she's like, "What's these?" And I said, "These are all Thor books." And she's like, "Well, knowing that my money's her money, her money's my money, that this is not my comic book collection, it's our comic book collection." So she's like, "Okay, if I'm gonna buy a comic book collection, I want to lay claim to it." So she laid claim to the Thor books. I said, "That's fine," because I'd gone through most of the Thor books to see what was in there. And little did I know that she had 337 in there. She also had in there the What If, where first appearance of Jane Foster. Actually, you know what? Now that I've mentioned it, I apologize. I do not have Thor number 337. My wife, she has her own copy.
Okay.
I thought I had bought a copy. Let me just double check my CLZ app here. And I do not have it. I'm mistaken. However, I bought the What If, which is first apparent, which is the first time that Jane Foster holds Mjolnir. That's also a key book you're going to want to grab. So, what if my wife swooped up and grabbed the Thor collection from me.
Cool. And moving on from that, we're going to I'm trying to go a little bit more faster pace now for DC, because I do want to talk about the throw ones that I put in there. For DC, of course, the main ones to get, and these are ones that are definitely gonna be like, hey, I just put them out there, because these are the first appearance. They're probably going higher now in pricing. Brave and the Bold 28.
Hold on, real quick, going back to the death of Captain America.
Okay.
I was right. I wanted to clarify though. Crossbones snipes at him while Sharon Carter, Agent 13, aka Cap's girlfriend at the time, is the one who lays down the delivers the killing shot, so to speak. She was posing as a shield psychiatrist to get close to Steve Rogers, who was turning himself in as a fugitive in the conclusion of Civil War I. She was brainwashed by Dr. Faustus. So I thought it was the Red Skull, but it was Dr. Faustus. But she is the one brainwashed and delivers the kill shot after Crossbones took a shot at Captain America. So so yeah, I just wanted to put that out there and let that be known. And now I just lost my notes.
Let that sink in. But yeah,
going right back to DC.
Go back to DC. Yeah, DC Brave and the Bold, number 28. The book came out a long freaking time ago. I actually forgot the actual date of it.
I'll find it.
But first, Starro the Conqueror, or Starro Destroyer. I forgot what it's called. His actual full name, but it's also first appearance of that. We see the first appearance of him in the Suicide Squad trailer that just came out, and it's also the first appearance of the GSA as a team. And so, yeah, that's probably the reason why the book's gone for so much right now.
Starro the Conqueror.
The Conqueror.
First appearance, and of course, it's the first team appearance of the Justice League of America: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, and Aquaman. Book came out in March of 1960, so it's a Silver Age book. It was published by DC writer Gardner Fox, and it was drawn by Mike Sikowski
Okay.
of DC. So
How much you go for it?
high end for this book. Again, you're talking about a now nearly 60-year-old book,
Hmm.
61-year-old book actually now in March of 2021. High grade and rising $74,000, mid grade 994. Let's call it 9,300, and then low end $1,100
Yeah,
on this key
about
book.
right.
So, and for those of you who are keeping track at home, low grade is 0 to about
Three,
a 3,
two
maybe
or
a
three.
4. Mid grade is going to be a 5 to about a 7. High
Hmm.
grade is definitely going to be 8, 9, or 10.
Yeah.
You're going to be able,
You won't find tens.
if you got an 8.0
Yeah.
of a book like this, you're going to sell it for a high grade price. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So
um,
I'll go, and for this one, a lot of these first appearances, of course, are gonna be from the recent Suicide Squad trailer, like Superman
which,
4
yeah,
First
because these
Blood
are going to be
Sport.
the ones that are going to be like instant
Yeah, yeah, definitely the
jump.
one.
So,
Superman 4 First Blood Sport, All Flash 12 First Thinker, Suicide Squad 1, the original that came out in 19, help me out here, 64.
I think that is the one that I have. I'm going to have to find it.
Correct.
Suicide.
Yeah, Suicide Squad number 1, first team appearance of the whole squad, even though that first squad didn't really have everyone from the current squad right now.
I do have this book, and it came out in May of 1987.
87, sorry.
John Ostrander was the writer. Howard Chaykin is the artist.
Yeah.
It's a very iconic cover.
Yeah.
It's very, you know who it, when it kind of and again you can kind of see that's a black cover,
Yeah.
orange lettering. The lettering is very much what James Gunn is using for the promotional work for this movie.
Yeah.
It has a very Watchmen feel to it. Just I don't know.
Yeah. I do know is that it definitely James Gunn has been said many times before that the original Suicide Squad run is that definite like inspiration for his movie right now. Keep going, moving on. Batman Adventures 12, first Harley Quinn in comics.
That's gonna always be on this list.
Yeah,
That
as always.
to me, that's gonna be like Harley Quinn, Batman Adventures number 12. To
Yeah.
me, is going to be like you can put up there with where it's kind of like I said, it's kind of like that unique book. Oh my god!
It's definitely was gonna be up there per se.
First appearance of Deadpool, like which is
Yes. You mean
what
87, 98? All that?
yeah. So it's just like it's like one of those things like when you have a first appearance of a character like that, you're thinking it's going to be a number 1, right? No, it's not a number 1. It's
In the series type of thing. So yeah, definitely Batman Adventures number 12. That book, I think the high end of it for 98 is going for a much higher now too. I think at least 2K, I think, if I remember correctly, maybe even more now. I know that my sister had a lower grade version of that one, like a 9.2, and then she sold it for a pretty decent amount as well. So
now this is another one
that's a good
too,
one to go to.
Jr. That it gets a little gray as to where the first appearance cameo, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Comic scene number 31, preview appearance of Harley Quinn in a magazine article about Batman animated adventures. Predates Batman Adventures number 12. Batman the animated series almost got him. It's a one-off kind of a picture book. It's a kid's book. First published appearance by Harley Quinn in a children's book called Almost Got Him, packaged with an audio cassette. Values. This is a CGC. Just recently 9.8 sold for almost $2,300. That was 2 years ago. High grade of this book, which which Chavez has. High grade is $600.
Yeah.
But Batman Adventures number 12, first appearance of Harley Quinn, is $850. Low grades 110.
Yep.
And it features Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy on the cover, pointing their guns at Batgirl.
Yep.
And of course, there's been multiple variants of it and stuff like that. But
yeah, it's been that cover specifically has been redone so much now in the last 10 years, last decade now. But also another book to kind of look out for, even though it's a not really a well-known character. I'm pretty sure she's gonna blow up after this this movie. Is actually Detective Comics 585 First Rat Catcher, and she is She's definitely got a lot of people fiending for her nowadays. Since the trailer, the actress for it, and yeah, she's looking like she might be one of those characters that will be like a shining a spotlight within the film. So that's probably one look out for. One to look out for. Detective Comics 300, first Polka Dot Man. I, it's looking like that he might be a longer stay within that movie. I was thinking that maybe he's gonna be one of those characters that'll be killed off first and foremost, but it's looking like he has a longer role in that movie. I'm hoping he I'm hoping he lives through it because I got I like the actor. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
And last one for this is Superboy number 9, first King Shark. So
Now you have me thinking
what's up?
that maybe I have Superboy.
Superboy, yeah, number 9. That was his very first run where he was that weird. He wore a leather jacket,
Yeah.
sunglasses, weird wavy hair. Yeah,
It's the Superboy that was spawned out of the funeral for a friend
yeah.
and the death of Superman and stuff like that. I don't have that book. I thought I did, but yeah, the God, you know what? I'm looking at it and it it looks like a book I would have carried. Yeah, Superboy Volume number 3, number
Mm,
9.
mm.
It came out in November of 1994,
Oh wow,
and
94. Oh, okay.
King Shark is definitely drawn a lot
Yeah.
different than the way they animated him, both in the Harley Quinn cartoon on
Mhm.
HBO Max, and of course, definitely not how they made him in the Suicide
Mhm.
Squad. So I honestly think that Superboy number 9 is going to be an obtainable book
Yeah.
for a lot of people, and I think it's one that might
Yeah.
um, kind of have a long stay.
I do
Um,
feel, yeah, I do feel a lot of the DC books right now specifically. They have a lot of the DC books, for those who've been collecting, like you and I, they don't really go too high up in price unless they're like an older Golden Age, Silver Age book. A lot of these books, even Batman Adventures 12, Harley Quinn hasn't really spiked up in prices in the last couple of years either. A lot of these books, they kind of like they're on that teetering point where like they kind of stay the same, they kind of plateau, and if they are called here or there for a movie, maybe they get a spike jump, and maybe they don't. I'm thinking about BBA, I'm thinking, or BBS, I'm thinking of first first, not first Batman, but what's the name, dude? Your guy.
oh my gosh, Superman.
No, not Superman. The horrible main villain
Oh
in
my
the end,
gosh,
right? I want to. I was gonna say Juggernaut for some dumb reason. No, Doomsday.
Doomsday.
Doomsday went up for like a hot minute, and the movie came out, and like, no, let's go back to $25, right? And so a lot of that type of a lot of type of thinking, goes into the DC books currently. And so DC, over the last 5 years hasn't gone crazy up and down like Marvel books have been. So
I will
a
say
lot.
this on that Superboy number 9. Be careful about what you have. If you think you have that book, if you have the barcode version, it's $50.
Mhm.
Now, with that said, if you have the second printing, which is back in that era, in the post Death of Superman run, you had multiple printings. I mean, I think Batman. I'm sorry, Superman
Superman
number 75, the Death of issue, had like 5
6 or
printings or
7.
something like that. The Death of Superman trade paperback, the one that I have, is a 5th printing. But I think Javel told me at some point they've actually printed that book 12 different times over the period of over the years, because
Mhm.
it continues to sell. People want it, even though even people, and it's gone digitally, people still want that book.
Yep.
So back in the 90s, DC, when they would reprint it, nowadays Marvel does the same thing. They have the newsstand, and then they have the, what do they call it, newsstand, and then what's the other version called?
Just the regular.
Direct edition.
Right. Yeah.
And the newsstand, I believe, has the barcode,
Yeah.
and the direct edition usually has a
The
Marvel
mask.
logo.
Yeah.
It's a Spider-Man mask, or Captain
Green
America shield
Lantern.
or something like that. Yeah, it's got some Marvel insignia on it. DC put a DC Universe sticker where the barcode would go, and it usually was on a second printing or a direct edition. Those DC Universe copies of books are super rare, and go for high dollar. The reprint of Superboy #9, the DC Universe sticker version, goes for $300 high grade. Low grade is $30, just $20 less than the first printing of the book. So if you check your long boxes, make sure when you were collecting books back in the 90s, you don't have Superboy #9.
Yeah.
Rounding things off, this is where we're going to be more, again, going back to JR a little bit here, is going with the independent books. If you've got Tokyo Ghost #1.
Yep. That movie that has been just announced recently to be a movie. And so
again, these are all gonna, again, these might be books that depending on how the movie does, could still end up being a book that you do a quick investment, do a quick flip. I know that Something is Killing the Children is a series that's really kind of caught on. The writing and the artwork has done really well. It's kind of like on the same par as Saga, that it doesn't need a movie or a second medium to carry it. It's just carrying it on its own. And I think low print run has also helped Something is Killing the Children. What might hurt them a little bit as an investment, though, is a lot of variant prints. So that's kind of hurting. So what hurts, for example, what hurt the market in the comic book market back in the early 90s was 2 books. The aforementioned Superman #75, one of the most printed books of all times, but the most sold book. So basically the most printed book of all time. A lot of people were like, "Oh, this is going to be great. This is my portfolio. This is my 401k right here." Of course, Jim Lee's X-Men #1, the most sold book of all time, 10 million copies. And it's just now, some 30 years later, just now it's starting to inch up a little bit in price, because books are starting to disappear. They're not as flooded with the market anymore.
Granted, a lot of the books in the 90s were just super overprinted, way more than it should be.
Because it was hot.
Well, not only that, but like
books.
When the guys from Marvel, and DC, they said, "Screw it, we'll make Image," and they just overprinted a bunch of their books there already. Like you received like just that whole era. But a lot of the books from nowadays, man, even though they have like multiple variants going on for it, books like Something Killing Children has just that book has been picked up recently, and it's going to look like chemical production. That
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and so like Something Killing Children right now, #1. I was looking to get #1 9/8, late last year for like maybe $200, $250, right? $300.
Yeah,
that's a reasonable price for a 9/8 for a newer book that's came out in the last year. Now I'm lucky to look for #1 for under $800 for a 9/8, right? And for a raw, maybe under $500 just for a raw. And so that right now specifically is going on. Their variants in themselves too. Like I think the one that I've been trying to look at for number is issue #8, the DeCall variant. That book has gone freaking nuts. So because that's such a slow print run as well, and a lot of these books right now are super low print. Tokyo Ghost #1 is a low print run made of course from I forgot his name, dude. My freaking man crush who we met at
Donny
LA.
Cates.
Huh? No, not Donny Cates. No, the other one. We met him. He was in the booth next to ours at Palm Springs Comic Con.
I'm
trying to look for his name
shit
right now. Yeah, I'm going
White
on
Knight, Batman,
White Knight, as well as the current Harley Quinn run.
So anyways, while JR goes, going back to Something That's Killing Children right now from Boom Studios, which by the way is just absolutely been freaking killing it the last few years, with arguably could be the best independent publisher in the market right now. I mean, that says a lot. But JR mentions right now, just a couple minutes ago, you have oh my gosh, I just completely drew a blank on them. The guys that split off from Marvel.
Yeah, Jim Lee, Image, all that, basically.
Image books. So the Image boys, Image Comics was they're the independent darling, and they've kind of fallen off. The only thing they had going for them, really and truly, was they had Saga, didn't they?
It's all good. That
And
time.
then they have
Walking
they had,
Dead.
of course, The Walking Dead, but both The Walking Dead's done, and Saga has been in hiatus for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So they really have got, but Bloom Studios has just
Yeah,
done
they're
fantastic.
taking off. They're definitely like they've always had like great books like the Power Rangers comic books, and Sean Gordon Murphy is the one.
Sean Murphy, that's it.
Sean Gordon Murphy.
Um,
Just a lot of those books specifically right now from Boom Studios are really picking up. I'm thinking about Department of Truth. Actually, Department of Truth is Image Book. Never mind.
and this doesn't surprise me. The writer for this book is James
Tell me, yeah, James.
I've met him. He's just
he's
super cool.
He's definitely a hot writer right now, and so he's definitely writing he's the one behind Department of Truth as well as Something to Kill Children, and so that was the reason why those two books has gone really up in value.
Yeah, number one raw, according to Key Collector, and again, it can vary because it's all based on what someone's willing to pay. High grade, they have valued at $275, but like JR said, you could get a number one in good condition raw, probably still up to probably about $300 or $400.
Yeah,
and then like CGC'd at a 9.8.
Just like going for $800 or so. I got lucky enough to have Department of Truth number one, the 1 for 100 variant, come back 9.8, and that I think the last one sold for like $1,200, and so that's the book that just recently came out sometime within the last 4 months, and so the more modern books right now and the more indie books that's been coming out have been really striking been making their self known, to the market nowadays, like Tokyo Ghost again, Something Killing Children number one, Department of Truth, Kanto, the studio, the Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith studio that was picked up. Like I said before, Berserker is having its own series now, and that book is slowly climbing as well. Granted, there's a lot of copies of the number one, the crazy 1 for 1,000 book that is going to be signed by the man himself, Keanu Reeves. That one is looking at like the thousands and $2,000 marks now, and so a lot of these books today, a lot of the modern books today are really seeing a type of are really benefiting from the pandemic, and really benefiting from just collectors in general. And those books right now are just like the ones to possibly get and possibly even flip. I've been flipping a lot of Venom 3s. I've had 5 or 6 Venom 3s, and I've sold maybe like 3 or 4 of them already, and I have and that I made my money, and I've definitely looking to purchase a lot more of my investments from some of these books that are coming right now. I'm still looking at Something's Killing Children number one, and because that book right now might be looked at as a modern Grail, and so
that could end up being like and it kind of brings us to the kind of like what did we miss? And I think that the kind of the current Holy Grail is still going to be Walking Dead number one for sprint. I think you can get that's going to cost you at least $5 or $6 grand.
No,
first appearance of Negan, I think, is Walking Dead number 100. That's an iconic cover, but the one that you're going to want to find is still probably floating out there and pretty easy. It'd probably be easier to find in the wild, is going to be the 15th anniversary variants, and those are the high variants, which will run you. I got some high variants in a blind bag at Comic-Con back in 2019, and they're now going for about $500. Right. They're not the Negan, they're not the first appearance of Negan, but I think some of the other, just to kind of rapid fire some of the books that I want to throw in there, going back just based solely on what Marvel's going to be doing. Any of the Kate Bishop Hawkeye books that were done in the early 2000s, in the 2016s, 2015, 2016. I can't remember who the writer was, but they're actually using if you find a book that has the same logo as the Hawkeye series, that's the run of Hawkeye that you're going to want to grab. That's going to bug me. I had it in my notes right here, and I don't have my glasses on, so I can't find it. Where is it? Damn it.
As he finds out, I was gonna put out another one. Saga number one is always a good bet to have. Saga number one.
Kelly Thompson, the Kelly Thompson Hawkeye series from it was 2017. So
that run.
yeah, I have. It's funny. It was so close. I actually have number 5, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to collect this book because it had Jessica Jones in it, and I was going to go back and collect that series. And I remember seeing issue number 1 on the shelf at Comic Asylum, and just didn't grab it. And then I collected 5 through 6. I have issues 5, 6, and 10. So I was starting to kind of fill in the gaps, and then I kind of just like, I think that was one of those moments where I was like, I don't need this. I don't need another series in my pool list. So, but yeah, I would definitely say Hawkeye is a book to have. I think, and that's of course the Kelly Thompson run from 2017. Going back way back to the 70s or the 80s, Iron Man volume number 1. You're going to be looking at
that's a high penny right there too.
Is starting at around issue, I think it's issue number, what is this, number 219, and that would be the, oh no, sorry, not 219, it was this one, issue 225, which is chapter 1 of Armor Wars, which we do know is going to feature Don Cheadle in a mini series that's going to come out in a couple of years. That's so again, based on what Jared was saying earlier with these Disney Plus shows and whatnot, and then let's see what else is coming out.
What ifs? Watch the what ifs.
The what ifs you're going to want to grab. Also Moon Knight, and like JR said a couple of weeks ago too, is there's talk that they could be bringing to either Hulu or the Star platform, which is supposedly going to launch in the United States sometime in 2021, and that is that's the Disney kind of rated R platform that they're going to add to Disney Plus. That might be an extra charge. They haven't said yet, but the Star platform has been added to Disney Plus throughout the rest of the world except for the United States. But there's a possibility that the Punisher might get added to that platform or get added to Hulu, which is also primarily Disney owned. But that is supposedly going to be based on his War Journals run. So if you want to get a Punisher War Journal, which is like from the 70s or the 80s, that could be something you want to grab hold to as a future investment. But I would definitely say if you could probably find it for pretty cheap, and you might be able to find it in a long box right now, is Armor Wars. Those have been just ratcheting up big time over the last you know what?
Yeah. Actually, I was
Dark Horse.
Which one?
Vote Loki.
Oh, yeah. The Loki one. That's the one came in from 2016. I think.
It's what there's a possibility that they might adopt that storyline in part of the Loki series.
I'm pretty sure they're gonna do it. But also another book to possibly, or another series run to possibly look into. Since I did say my man Sean Gordon Murphy out there to look into that same Batman White Knight volume. He just got done with volume 2, but yeah, his current run right now, I feel will be looked upon as like the one of the mainstays in like Batman lore. Definitely like when people say Batman Year One, or when they say Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight Returns sagas. I feel like Batman White Knight is definitely gonna be those books that's gonna be in that echelon of like just Batman lore. So that's definitely one to look out for, guys. It's reasonably cheap right now. Granted, I think the first Neo Joker or maybe Harley's spoiler alert, kids, I think they might fetch a little bit higher in the market, but that is definitely a book to look out for. Batman White Knight. And so yeah, that book came out in the last 3 years, and it's actually a really, really good book, man.
Yeah. And I grabbed that, and
yeah, man, I had him sign it. All of it.
It's tough to say. We don't know when the supposed comic book movie cool down, or what do they call it, fatigue, will kick in. And really, if you ask guys like Sid Johnson, he'll tell you that over the last 10 years or so, movies and TV shows have definitely pushed the sales of comic books. So,
Yep.
but yeah, that's what you if there's something we missed, there's a book that you like to have us talk about on the next go round, put it in the comments below or hit us up on Twitter at PS Comics I love the letter U, or hit us up on email pscomicsIloveyou@gmail.com. Is there something we missed? Let us know in the comments, or shoot us an email, or hit us up on Twitter. You can also follow us on Facebook at PS Comics I Love You on Facebook and on Instagram. I constantly post new information about the podcast and interactive stuff. We're going to try to make sure to do a question of the week every week, and we're going to post that on there. And we'll some of the good answers maybe we'll post on our story. But nonetheless, check that out. We'll get a little bit more interactive as we move on with this podcast, as we inch ever so closer as we enter into the month of April. As some of you are probably listening to this episode, it's already in April. We are inching ever so closer to the 1-year anniversary of this podcast and the end of season 1. And we will get into season 2. And I know that the one thing that people have been asking for is A, you guys could do any interviews, and B, when are you going to take the show on the road? And I know that is something we want to do.
Yeah,
and I know that one of the things that I want to do with this podcast is, like I said, we want to figure out how to do it live, which I think we'll be able to figure out a way to do it on the YouTube channel. But I want to do it live when we're able to go back to Comic-Cons. And the good news is, this past week we got some good news. We're in the podcast on some good news. We mentioned earlier this month that the Comic-Con Revolution in Ontario has announced that the weekend before Christmas, we are going to go have one of our first Comic-Cons in Southern California. Will be at the Convention Center in Ontario. That is going to be December 18th and 19th at the Ontario Convention Center. Tickets are on sale now, and if you buy tickets now and you have a child under the age of 12, they get in absolutely free. And it's actually a great starter convention for those of you who have never been to a Comic-Con before. But you want to talk about Comic-Con? Let's talk about the granddaddy of them all. Let's talk about Comic-Con International. And let's talk about San Diego Comic-Con. Now, on the heels of what happened this past week, and that, of course, was WonderCon at home. Again, kind of letting us know that, you know what, we're not going to get any conventions this year. But that may change quickly in a heartbeat. It was announced by Comic-Con International that at the famed San Diego Convention Center in 2021, we will have a version of San Diego Comic-Con, just not in July. And it actually is going to take place unofficially on November 27th and 28th. They haven't officially announced the dates, but it is going to happen the weekend of Thanksgiving. So it's kind of controversial amongst attendees and some of the exhibitors and whatnot. How can they get to San Diego on a holiday weekend? It's not designed to be the big, huge San Diego Comic-Con that we're used to, with hundreds of, almost a quarter million people, with hundreds of thousands of people inside those buildings. It's going to be small, but it's going to be spread out. So it's going to be probably not the full-fledged Comic-Con that we're used to, but we're going to get a big convention. And again, the tentative dates that I'm hearing is the 27th and the 28th of November. It's a possibility that it could end up actually being Black Friday. So the 26th and the 20th, it's a possibility. It could be the 26th, 27th, which would be Black Friday and Black Saturday. But just because Sunday at the convention has always been moving day anyway. So really, if you do it the 25th and the 27th, or the 26th and the 27th, you actually potentially have more people, because really and truly, let's be honest, Black Friday is not what it used to be. You're getting good deals year round. You have Amazon Prime Day. It takes place typically in June or July. You're going to get better deals there. But nonetheless, no concrete in stone official date has been announced, but it is going to take place sometime between the 26th and the 28th. We do know that much. So congratulations to Comic-Con International for getting something on the books. I know I talked with Chick last week, and there's still no word on any other local conventions within the Southwest region. We know that Amazing Con in Vegas was going to possibly try to do something small, but no word yet on that. But at least, guys, good news is we have movies theaters are open. We have Godzilla versus King Kong will be in theaters. By the way, I did read that Godzilla versus King Kong actually will be in theaters on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wait till Friday to go see it. Check your local list, check your local theaters for more information, but it will be on HBO Max this Wednesday. But theaters are open, 25% capacity.
Yeah.
So go out there and support your local theaters. Comic-Cons are coming. We do know opening day for baseball is also this week, and there's a possibility that there's going to be a limited capacity, but they're going to have fans in the stands for opening day of baseball. So
I will say, I definitely will say that I'm actually going to I'll be attending a couple Comic-Cons the end of this year. The first one is definitely my first Comic-Con in over 2 years now, Rose City Comic-Con, actually a year and a half now. That comes out September 10th to the 12th. I'll definitely let you guys know how that's gonna go. But that will hopefully be my first Comic-Con of this year, and as well as I'm hoping that when we do get to, I definitely do want to get to Revolution, and then we will definitely get you a at the site podcast episode there, guys, and we'll just tell you how it is, how it's looking for, how the vibe is gonna basically how it feels like to be around walking and just digging through long boxes, conversing with people again. It's been a tough go at it, man, not conversing with people, talking about comic stuff and nerd stuff.
It's funny.
Kind of interesting that,
I was talking to someone at Sid's shop over the week, and we were talking about that. I was like, hey, Comic-Con Revolution is going to come back in December, and someone goes, and it was funny. They're sitting there in Sid's shop flipping through long boxes. Really, you're going to go to a convention? Aren't you worried about germs and stuff? And he said, I'm like, I mean, seriously, are you going to go to a convention and flip through long boxes as he's flipping through long boxes, albeit with gloves in Sid's shop? But I'm going, if you're in a comic book store right now, and you're still worried about going out to a convention, then you shouldn't be at a comic book store. So I'm ready to go. So
it's definitely something we'll keep you guys posted about. I just want to go back out and just travel, man. I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that I miss traveling. I miss the conventions. I miss the feel. I miss just being around, quote unquote, my people when it comes to like nerd stuff. Just talking to some of the vendors there, man, because the vendors, their knowledge and their just how long they've been in the business, and just getting to know them and possibly getting some deals, just stuff like that. Just the convention life in general is something that I sorely miss, man, and I sorely am definitely looking forward to. But yeah, Rose City Comic-Con coming back, man. They just intentionally announced that they are definitely going to be reopening September 10th through 12th. And that they just can't wait, guys. We'll definitely keep you guys posted about our convention going ways, and that if it's okay to quote unquote dip your feet back in the pool type of thing.
And like I said, if you've never been to a convention before and you're looking for an excuse and you're okay and you feel comfortable with going out to the convention circuit, definitely use this as an opportunity, because their tickets are going to be limited. But I think that they're going to be limited, but I think there's going to be more tickets available than you think. You don't necessarily have to go to this new San Diego Comic-Con. You can go to a local one like JR mentioned, Rose City, or you can go to the Comic-Con Revolution in Ontario or something like that. So still no word yet on our local cons, but I'm thinking we're looking at a 2022 release. I'm sorry, return for conventions like Comic-Con Palm Springs and whatnot. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for sticking with us on this, the collector's edition part 2. And if you got any cool information, share it with your friends. Share this podcast on your social media accounts, and we'll make sure to reward you handsomely with an entry into our inevitable raffle for those Wonder Woman books. And appreciate everything. And as always, my friends, have a great week. Have a good night. Have a great week. And peace.
Cool, man.